Dynasty Diner is open for business. Who wants to eat some fucking food? And let's talk about Rashee Rice. First of all, the Chaz back in the house. Did you read about Rashee Rice? Another fucking domestic.
Yep,
He's
another.
Tyreek Hill.
Oh man.
He's literally Tyreek Hill mixed with Paul Walker because he likes to drive really fast. And now he's got allegations, like a lot of allegations from his ex. Is in that regard, his ex baby mama is what she is. There's multiple accounts of like physical strangulation, a lot of shit. If there's pictures, man, this dude's in big trouble. I guess the only nice thing is, Chaz, he plays for the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, he's tied up Patrick Mahomes. That's about the only good upside with Rashee Rice. If anything, I'm beginning to worry, especially when, I mean, what isn't he going into a? Is it going to be his fourth year next year?
2, 3. I think this is going to be his fourth year. He's played 3 years.
So yeah, so contract year, and do the Chiefs want to keep around someone like that? Like that's something that you worry about for the future, especially his dynasty value. Is that something that you're willing to buy in on? I'm not buying in on that, obviously, with what's going on, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I've never liked his film either. Like, he is such a one-trick pony. And it works, right? Like, it works with the system with Patrick Mahomes, especially, like, it tied in perfectly with Patrick Mahomes' inability to throw the ball downfield. He lost that ability, right? Somehow he got, like, zapped. Like, at Austin Powers when he gets his mojo taken. Like, that's what happened with Mahomes. And it was just like, okay, let's just dump down to Rashee Rice. It was also correlated perfectly with Kelsey's downfall. But, like, the guy can't go downfield. He's not good against zone. Like, he's literally can just beat man one-on-one, get the guy in motion. They have a lot of issues there. We're going to get to one of the guys, Xavier Worthy, later in the show. So, the segment we're doing today in Dynasty Diner is year 3 wide receivers, which, Chaz, after the first year, after year 1, and also going into the NFL draft, that was an all-time receiving class, right? That's all we heard. Awesome rookie year for most of these guys. And then year 2 was just a disappointment across the board. We didn't see anyone. Did any of these guys have good seasons? Because I really don't think they did. I'm trying to think of any of them like had an above-average year. Ladd McConkey disappointed. Brian Thomas terrible. Dunze was doing well, got hurt. Neighbors ACL. Harrison another more of the same shit. Like none of these guys, dude. Ricky Pearsall can't get on the field. Keon Coleman's essentially almost out of the NFL. Yeah. So what's going on with this class, man?
I mean, it's very interesting seeing the downfall. I mean, when you look at that list and you think, wow, how did every player underperform, their yearly expectations? And, that sets them up for a year 3 bounce back. And that's what we're obviously going to be talking about today. What guys are we going to be buying? What guys are going to be holding? What guys are going to be selling going into this upcoming year? Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, were we wrong on this class, or was it just an aberration, right? Was this just a one-off? But the thing is, when all of the guys fail, I know there was some extenuating circumstances, if you will, about some of the guys, right? Marvin Harrison got hurt again. Robert Dunze got hurt. Ladd McConkey's offensive line fell apart. There's a lot. So we're going to get all into that. And you say it's hold, trade, or buy. Buy, hold, trade. I prefer to say marry, fuck, kill, which is a very, very fun game. I don't know if you ever played it. Yeah, marry, fuck, kill.
Okay, here's a shot out of a cannon. Oprah, Barbara Walters, your wife. You got to fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
What is your answer, Chaz? Let's just assume you have a wife. You're in college. You're a young lad. Marry, fuck, kill. Oprah, Barbara Walters, your wife.
Ooh.
Are you into black chicks?
I know I am definitely an interesting take out there. I know some people wouldn't agree, but hey, I don't care. All colors, shapes, sizes. Well, maybe not sizes.
No. See, I'm on record saying literally track record, all colors, shapes, sizes. I'm in. I haven't gone to the dark side. The dark side would be a man, right? That's the dark side, if you will.
Yeah,
again, not judging. If you're into guys, Brokeback Mountain is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm down with the community, right? And maybe one day I'll venture out. We don't know. My dad's watching this live, by the way. He's shaking his fucking head. I guarantee it. Shout out Tim Simmons. He loves when I bring up Brokeback. He refuses to watch it. He's of that generation. It's a great film. Chaz, have you seen Brokeback Mountain?
I know of it, but I haven't seen it. Like on TikTok, you'll be scrolling, you'll see like little edits. I've seen edits of it. I mean, I know it's about 2 gay dudes, but that's pretty much all that I know about it. Like I don't know much
about 2 gay dudes. It's
Your hands are what makes it possible. Your shoulder pads are hard and stiff. Your hands are tender and they can move and caress the ball. that's kind of gay, but hey.
It is borderline. I am very borderline. See, Chaz, if you guys don't know the backstory, me and Chaz, I was Chaz's boss for 3 years. So he got to hear all these crazy stories and me with this kind of energy level at 6 a.m. at the country club, just screaming at the top of my lungs, singing, like a bunch of fairy shit. Even though I'm a very masculine man, you guys know I'll know that shit. But let's get into the list, Chaz. I'm excited to do this, man, because I got to figure out what the hell happened with this year, these year 3 receivers, because it was wild and wacky stuff. We got to figure this out for the community, for ourselves, and make some money. See which of these guys we're actually in on next year, because I feel like it's a good time to buy in Dynasty in particular, but also for redraft.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in my opinion, this is just a one-off year for this class. Like it's a historic class, in my opinion. I still think of it as that way. I know it had a down year, but there's a lot of situational play that, played into that. And I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of resolve going into next year.
So how I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do it based on the rankings in Dynasty. I'm going to do it based on the coming out of the draft rankings. So I'm going to go Marvin Harrison first and Neighbors and down the line, right? Because I think it's somewhere in the middle, right? From where we thought these guys were to where they are now. So I'm just going to kind of err on the side of where they were drafted coming out of the NFL draft. So the first guy is Marvin Harrison. And this is an interesting one, dude, because just the Kyler Murray stuff, he's gone. We got Marvin Harrison sitting at wide receiver 27 right now in Dynasty. This is Fantasy Pros Dynasty ranks. He is below. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th on this list now, just in your 3 receivers. He's down there amongst the likes of Luther Burden, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. Like, this is like panic. If you drafted Marvin Harrison in the rookie draft, this is panic stuff. So Chaz, are you buying, selling, or holding Marvin Harrison at wide receiver 27?
I'm buying. I don't know if that's what you're gonna concur, but I'm buying all day. I think this past year was once again, I was saying situational kind of year where things just went completely wrong in his development as a wide receiver going into this year, but also just that situation of, you had Brissett and he was throwing the ball all the time. And yes, I know that offense was producing a lot of yards and Marvin Harrison still wasn't, being that one or X factor. We saw that with Michael Wilson and McBride, not more so Harrison. But I think Harrison is still that elite prospect that we're, waiting to see break out. I think he's still only 23, right? He's still only 23. Like, let's not count him out already. Elite prospect coming out, top 5 pick in the draft. We'll see what happens with that quarterback this possession. But I think they got a couple good coaches hired in there. I think it was I know their OC's Hackett, right? I know that's not the best, but isn't their coach their actual head coach going to be that Rams offensive coordinator?
Yeah, Michael LaFleur.
That's the more exciting thing that I'm excited about, more so than the Hackett thing. Hackett and usually kills wide receivers, but I'm more excited about the Rams.
I have been, this is the 5th year of the show, and there was the old Hackett, Aaron Rodgers stuff, and then Hackett with Russell Wilson in Denver. And I had a lot of fun ripping on Hackett because the dude is just a clown. He's lost, and I hate him. So I actually have some footage of Nathaniel Hackett here. Check this out.
Simple Jack, the story of a mentally impaired farmhand who can talk to animals, was a box office disaster that many critics called one of the worst movies of all time.
Got a good brain.
I think you've got a fine brain, Jack.
You make me happy.
But now the question is, can speed
be associated with Marvin Harrison? So it works both ways. So in terms of the coaching staff, I'm not super high on them, but it's addition by subtraction because Petzing and Gannon, that was probably the worst staff outside of Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll is so old and the game passed him by. Like, outside of the Raiders staff, I do believe that the Cardinals had the worst staff in football last year, and so it's only going to be better there. Getting Kyler Murray's cancer ass out of the building is only going to be good, assuming he's gone. I'm pretty sure he's going to be gone. I don't care who it is at quarterback. Like, the Michael Wilson thing is an issue, but I'm buying because there's no other option. Like, hold is the only other option. it's buy or hold because you can't sell this guy. That means that you would probably drafted him number 1 overall, number 2 overall in the rookie draft class, or you paid a big premium to get him year 2. And like it's that's just not good business. So I have hope for Marvin Harrison. I mentioned it a couple days ago on the show. There's a world that Marvin Harrison, because of his background, being Marvin Harrison's son, and just being, he was an all-time prospect. Let's not forget this. All-time prospect at Ohio State. Like his film at Ohio State is jaw-dropping, and it makes me salivate. I don't know what happened. I haven't seen any of this in the NFL film, but I think there's a world where he came into this situation, right, with the coaching staff just knowing they're incompetent. He's been around the NFL since he was fucking 5 years old. Like seeing the situation at hand, and then Kyler Murray just seeing the guy wasn't bought in, right, and like saying fuck it, I'll get a million chances. Most guys don't get many chances, right? It's 1 or 2 chances. I always refer to Malachi Corley, who was also in this class, had the fumble in the Jets game, and he's pretty much a practice squad player, kick returner now, like. And that's a second-round pick. But Marvin Harrison's a guy that's always going to get chances based on his size-speed profile. The dude's elite in terms of his profile. We haven't seen it on the field. The other upside of Marvin Harrison is all the dude does is catch touchdowns, right? Like he's 0.5 touchdowns a game for Marvin Harrison in his career. With all the things we said about the disappointment, the body language stuff, the not great film, he's still catching touchdowns. It's not like they're throwing for 40 touchdowns a year in Arizona. So he does comp as that touchdown guy. I guess the other negative is Trey McBride's not going away, right? Now, that could be a positive where he's not going to get as many double teams, but like Trey McBride is the one there. But wide receiver 27 is just too insane, right?
It's just too low for me, especially with what you were mentioning, the guys that are around him. You mentioned Waddle, you mentioned Burden. I'd actually maybe, consider taking over him, but like in that range of wide receiver 23, it's either a buy or a hold. And then obviously you said you're not going to sell it. There's no reason to. We're not at that point where you're just going to try and get any value that you can out of them. There's still promise. There's still a lot of hope, in my opinion.
Like I get the Luther Burden upside, I get it, but like they're probably the same age. Again, I don't know this. I need Jamie here. Jamie, if you're in the chat, I'm guessing they're the same age.
Luther's
6 months apart.
Full year younger.
Okay, I'm just saying though. Like think about that for a second. Like they're not that different in age, and like. Luther Burden hadn't showed us much, and he was also really, really inconsistent. His junior year in college at Mizzou was not great. So, like, Marvin Harrison is still, it's just, the expectations were way too high for Marvin Harrison. That's why we have these negative feelings towards him, because he's fucked us in fantasy. The eye test has been bad. But, like, in reality, if he was a late first-round pick, we wouldn't be having these negative feelings towards the guy. So, it's definitely, I think this is the buy of the century. Where would you probably rank him, high teens if you were to have your own dynasty ranking, like 19, 20, something like that?
Yeah, I would definitely put him above that T. Higgins, AJ Brown threshold. I think if you put those rankings back up, I think they were 17th and 18th or somewhere around there. I would put him just above that, and then that's where I'm going to leave him.
Thank you, Blake. We got Mark in the chat. Number 1 super fan of the show, working his ass off these days. We miss you, Mark. Burden's 22, Marvin Harrison 23. That is so young. Young for a third-year player.
Yep.
The upside is just so great, and the downside is really not that. It's not that bad. Okay, Malik Neighbors. Let's move on to Malik. He is wide receiver. Let's see if I get the grab. I think he's wide receiver 7 right now in Dynasty. Yeah. So. It might be blocked on the screen. Wide receiver 7. Is that fair to you? I mean, there's a lot of question marks. They're going to bring somebody in, wide receiver 2, whether that's Carnell Tate, this year in the draft at the fifth pick, or they bring in a Tyreek Hill, or, somebody. They might even re-sign Wan'Dale Robinson. Like there's options. They might bring in another tight end, right?
They got a bunch of options. Yep. They got a bunch of options. I was going to slate him in as a for sure, I would for sure slate him in as the top 4 if they brought in somebody other than Nagy, but that might also be a, bias where we saw what he did with the Bears. But for now, I think 7's a great, place for him to be compared to. I'm not going to put him above CD until I see him, produce a top 5 season. I'm not going to put him above Amon-Ra until I see that top 5, top 7 season. Again, just more so after this year and with the new regime that's coming in.
So is it a hold for you? I don't know if I didn't hear you right.
Oh,
Is it a
sorry.
hold?
Yes, I'm gonna hold where it's at. Obviously, not a sell. If you can buy him, buy him. But I don't think many people are gonna be planning on selling him right now. I think that's just gonna be a tough buy because you're gonna still try and buy in on that injury discount, or like that's what you're probably gonna lead in with, and that just doesn't make sense going into next year. And then also, the guy's still like what? I think he's 22, right? So yeah, he's still
He's a young man.
mid 22, just incredibly young for going into his third year. So I mean, I don't know who the hell would want to be selling. So it's a hold no matter what.
It's weird because the injury should, bump him down, but you got to think, like, we didn't think the Giants would be in this position going into last year, for instance. Like, now they have a professional head coach. Now they have, what appears to be a franchise quarterback. Now, Jackson Dart isn't like a pocket guy, but he's a big play merchant. He can actually get the ball downfield, and he showed me a lot last year. So I feel like the injury, he almost went up after the injury just because it's like, okay, now you have a competent situation around you. Where before it was bleak, bro. It was Russell Wilson. It was
Russell
bad,
Wilson.
man.
It
Do
was
you
yeah, it
love
was
do you
terrible.
love Malik Neighbors the talent though? So like is
Oh my
he still
God.
truly elite in your mind? Because I know like the
Truly,
film he can do it all.
truly.
I'm a little bit. I think he could be a knucklehead though. There's some knucklehead tendencies in Malik Neighbors' game, and he's always questionable. So he didn't miss a lot of games his rookie year. I think he missed one game, but he was always questionable. And I hear he's not big into practicing. Now again, some of the all-time greats have been the same way. Allen Iverson famously, practice. We've heard that, but
Yeah.
you got to be on the same page with your quarterback. You got to get in the practice field, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of Malik Neighbors. I feel like this is a hold as well. You can't buy just because there's still some uncertainty based on his injury history, and we've only seen 1 year of production, and that was, let's be honest, 170 targets. Like that's insane.
It was too many. It was too 170 targets. That's not repeatable in the NFL. So
Not if you're on a decent team, right? That's like
yeah,
what bottom
yes.
3 team has when you're losing every single game.
Yep.
Let's get to the next guy. We have Rome Odunze. This is right up our alley as Bears
Yeah.
fans. We were talking about him last night, and we're talking about DJ Moore. And DJ Moore might be gone. We don't know the fate of DJ Moore. Everyone's on Luther Burden's bandwagon, but Rome Odunze has not shown me a lot on film. He has left a lot on the field, a lot of drops. It's not been great. We have Rome Odunze at, let's see if I can look it up. Rome Odunze, wide receiver 24.
Yep. So when looking
what do you
at
think?
that, I don't like saying it. Well, I mean, I also hate that second name that's Wilhelm Jamo. I hate that he's that high, but I would honestly be looking to sell more so because I'm not going to be looking to buy because when I look at the guys above him, I see, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, guys like that. I mean, obviously those are way ahead, but then you also see like Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, AJ Brown. I honestly, for now, like that over Rome Odunze just for the fact that, Colson Loveland's there. Luther Burden's going to be there. I think it's going to be a high volume offense, but that also means the ball is going to be pretty spread around, which means, is he going to be able to come into a true wide receiver one and be an elite dynasty, wide receiver one for teams? And I know he's valued wide receiver 24, but I would try and look off and, honestly try and sell him for a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion. Is that something that
I
you
would probably
do?
want Marv ahead of him. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
And like, there's two ends of this because the one end is the Bears showed us last year what they thought of Rome Odunze in his usage. He was playing the most snaps of every receiver. He was playing that true X role, and he was getting very, very high target share. The target number wasn't great because it's spread around. The target share was elite, and his production before the foot injury was elite. But the film wasn't elite, if that makes sense. The film was not great. Even when he was producing, man, it was... The separation isn't there. I didn't necessarily love him coming out. Like, he has this motor. He is the character guy, right? Everyone raved about Rome Odunze coming out. He's a hard worker. There's no diva in him, which I do like. And, DJ Moore possibly leaving is awesome, but who's to say they don't bring in somebody else? DJ Moore wasn't really taking targets away from him last year. He was kind of just like out there running cardio. So it's also being tied to Caleb Williams, man, who is a darling of the fantasy community. Not so much the redraft community this year where he's ranked quarterback 10, quarterback 12, but in Dynasty, he is up there like quarterback 6, quarterback 7. And I think we all know the truth. People on this show know the truth. We've all watched Caleb Williams take a mega leap up, not in stats, but in eye test, man. Like, he doesn't take sacks. Dude doesn't get hurt. Like, he's willing to put the ball up in 50-50 situations, which should benefit Rome because he is like, Luther Burden's not that guy. It's Colson Loveland and Rome Odunze that you're going to throw the ball up to on 3rd and 7. And, like, he is probably the best 3rd and 4th down quarterback in the NFL, or he was this past year. Who was more clutch than Caleb? Like, nobody. Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
So I think it's a hold. I think it's a hold for me. I'm going to say hold just because I see the upside. I would just hate to sell him and just be like, well, maybe last year, he had some growing up to do in terms of maturing on the field. It's not off the field stuff, just on the field, right? Polishing his routes up, like expanding that route tree. But the fact you're tied to Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson seems to like the guy, that's the worry. And like Luther Burden doesn't scare me. I love Luther Burden, the player. He doesn't scare me as a guy that's going to be demanding targets, right? Like, he's not a target earner. He's going to do a lot with his targets. He was, I think, 3rd in the NFL in yards per route run, which is insane, right? But it was a limited sample size. Where Rome Odunze in his career has been god awful. His rookie year, he was like 80th, bro. So it's really a tricky one. This is a tricky one. We're definitely not buying Rome Odunze though.
Yeah, definitely not buying. I can see your opinion on holding. If you look at those first 4 games and you go, hey, like, I think that can transcribe to the future, which we obviously don't think so, or at least not at that kind of level. I definitely don't think so. I mean, you sound like you were iffy about that, which is why for me it's a sell because I think people are buying him based on that 4 to 5 game sample before the foot injury.
Jay says Carnell Tate to the Giants would be huge. What are your thoughts on Carnell Tate? Because, again, this is kind of the Marvin Harrison thing. Like, Marvin Harrison's such a better prospect than Carnell Tate coming out. And, like, this is a one-off because you can also go to JSN and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on a lesser extent. Hasn't really performed that well on the NFL level, but the talent's there. I was just watching the film right before the show. I'm going through all the college stuff, and it's the big 3 in my mind this year. It's Tate, it's Jordan Tyson, and it's Lemon. Right.
Yep.
And I feel like Tyson is not. I know Tyson's not the top receiver taken just because of the injury history. That will scare some teams off. What's your thoughts on Tate? Because he's really big. He's really polished. I don't think he is, but everyone else saying he is. Obviously, you can tell from my stance here. I'm not a big Carnell Tate guy. I comp him to George Pickens and Alshon Jeffrey. That's my comp for him.
That's the comps that I was seeing all around. Twitter or Xverse. I still have Mekhi Lemon over him, but I definitely have Tyson 3rd, Tate 2nd, Lemon 1st. Going off the board, it'll be interesting. You know how we always say with a lot of these wide receivers, it depends a lot of where they end up going. It'll be interesting to see the draft and what teams make moves, especially in the offseason and during the draft to get wide receivers. I mean, we've seen. Didn't Buffalo go make that move to go get Keon Coleman, which ended up being a disaster? I mean, right? Am I speaking on the right? So there's a bunch of things that can happen.
That's my worry. Is I got to see what he run. I don't know if he's going to run the 40. He'll probably do the pro day 40, which is usually fraudulent. But I was looking back, and Keon Coleman ran a 4.62, and that has showed up on the field in the NFL, like in spades. Like I feel like he's slower than that, and. My biggest worry with Tate is I hear all this, everyone saying his hands are so good. Man, I don't see that on film at all. I see the ball getting to his body a lot, which in college is fine. Quentin Johnson was the same thing. When you're 6'4", in college, you're a monster. I'm not saying that's not a big player in the NFL, but you are towering over these guys. You're athletically way more gifted than they are. But you can let the ball hit you in the chest and then cover it with your hands because no one's going to bat that ball. In the NFL, it doesn't work like that. That ball gets batted down or picked. And I did not see Carnell Tate high point the ball one time. And, like, that's an issue for me because that's the first thing I look at. I want to give a shout-out to my first co-host, Kappa, who that was the number one thing he looked at with wide receivers. We always talk about this. Jarvis Landry was probably one of the best hands in the NFL for that stretch, and he was super small. But Jarvis Landry played way bigger because he didn't let the ball get to him, right? He always just caught the ball first. There's been a bunch of guys like that. Those are the guys that, Larry Fitzgerald, that stay in the NFL and that are elite in the NFL, sometimes with less – with not the most desirable measurables, right? And I got to see what Carnell Tate runs. I'm a little bit trepidatious about the fact that I don't see him high pointing the ball. I don't see him attacking the ball. And that was my biggest gripe with Quentin Johnston. And like that's been a problem, you know?
Sorry, I mean, that is honestly such a great comparison. I didn't really think about that, but well, yeah, when you look at these wide receivers that are, huge and obviously monsters in college ball, does that translate? I think we've seen that with QJ, and how is that going to transfer? Obviously, once again, we're gonna, we never know for sure, but we can obviously just make our best guess. Quinn Johnson's a damn good, comparison of how he can go wrong. There's a lot of ways that he can go right, but there's also ways that he can go down bad. So it's not something we haven't seen in a while. It's been past 3-4 drafts, especially with QJ. So
all that being said, this is the four in particular. We're talking about Malik Neighbors. This is the guy I want paired with Malik Neighbors, because if you draft a guy like Lemon or even Tyson's more of a move guy. He can play all positions. Lemon is most certainly a slot receiver in the NFL. He is a St. Brown mold. And I want Malik Neighbors in that St. Brown role, right? Because Malik Neighbors, we saw his rookie year, he can be that target hog underneath, and he can also stretch the field from the slot. And you can still line up him at X, but like Tate, I want a sacrificial, big-bodied guy, and that's going to pair well with what they have there with Jackson Dart. But like, I don't want Malik Neighbors having to go against those elite corners, taking those big hits on the sideline. Like, I want him underneath. And so, like, as much as I don't like Carnell Tate, the prospect, this is more a take of what I want from Malik Neighbors, and it's Carnell Tate at 5. Or another big-bodied receiver. Can we get George Pickens there? How about that? George Pickens and the Giants. They would never trade him to the Giants.
Yeah, never do it, because, in division and stuff like that. But that would be a perfect landing spot for both the wide receivers, in my opinion.
All right, next guy. This is an interesting one here, because this has just been a roller coaster of emotions, man. Brian Thomas Jr., such a great rookie year. Eye test, stats, you name it. And then whatever the hell that was last year, everyone was like, Brian Thomas was slept on, right? He was the 4th-ranked receiver, 4.3, 340, I believe. Super fast, super physical. I didn't like him coming out. I threw out the Quentin Johnston comparisons, and I quickly ate my words his rookie year, right? Just like when I said I hated CJ Stroud coming out, and everyone's like, his rookie year, it was like, you're an idiot. And then what is more likely? Like, is he more likely to be the player we saw his rookie year, or what we saw this past year? And mind you, there were some injury concerns as well.
I think it's going to be a little bit better than this year, especially when the one thing that I'm really looking at is his willingness to, take a hit, embrace a hit. We saw it time after time again. I mean, I owned a couple shares of Brian Thomas, and when I'm watching those games, he just avoids those hits, drops the ball, and then that's also another reason why the numbers were down this year. So it's that his willingness to do that, but yes, also I think it is only up from here. I don't think it can get much worse for BTJ, especially when you hear that Hunter's going to be silent a little bit. I know they went and got Myers. I know that Washington also looked great there at the end of the season, but I think it really is only up from here for BTJ. So I mean, I would label him as
let's get to his rankings real quick, and I gotta get to Jason's comment. I have not seen Jason around. He says mouth blowing his snot rockets with the same napkin last night over and over, comparing Drake London to Mike fucking Evans, future Hall of Famer. How dare you compare Drake London to Iron Mike, brother?
Oh, God.
I haven't seen Jason in a little bit, and he comes in with that. That's funny. These two have a very great beef. I do love the beef. I'm kind of caught in the middle. I love both these guys. Jason, we miss you, my dude. But what do you think about that? Comparing Drake London to Mike Evans. Now, obviously, he's never going to have the career Mike Evans had, just because Mike Evans didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a year, and the epic start to his career. But Drake London is a little bit different kind of player. He is more of an underneath slot receiver version of Mike Evans. He has Mike Evans' size. But Mike Evans is truly elite at the one thing, as being a dominant X receiver. And let's not forget, Mike Evans, he's been a little bit beaten up through the years. He's old. He was an elite speedster, not even just for his size. Yes. He's a 4'4" guy at 230 pounds. He's LeBron James out there. You know what I'm saying? And like he has questionable hands at times, but is that comparison valid, or is it that crazy like Jason's saying?
I mean, I can really only see it in the size. I mean, as you mentioned, London's more so used, like, get him in the slot, get him underneath, where Mike Evans, you You just rarely see that. Like that's not something that, he should be doing. Um, God, I mean that is an insane comparison though when you're looking at, London and Evans. But also I want to get over to not blowing his snot rockets with the same neck. Oh boy, what the hell
Jason's
is going
fucking
on
funny.
last night?
Jason's one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and he also just doesn't give a fuck, and it's kind of how I am. Like, I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna say, and take it or leave it, love me or hate me. I appreciate that. I see the comparison based on the ability, right? I think Drake London is that caliber player, but the difference is Mike Evans was the consistency level is something that's not. I'm not saying Drake London can't match it. I'm saying nobody can match it. It's literally Jerry Rice level and Larry Fitzgerald level. We're talking all time of all time players, right? The guys that had the physical gifts and had the mental fortitude and like the grit and all that kind of stuff, right? Like that's Mike Evans, and I think he gets a really bad rap in the fantasy community because he's known for inconsistent games in big moments. It's not his fault, right? Marshawn Lattimore shutting him down, things like that, and you know how fantasy players are. They're fucking petty, bro. But year in, year out production, there's been nobody that's matched that, at least not in my lifetime. Look at Antonio Brown. He did it. He was elite for 5 years. And then what? Right? And then what?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
let's get to Brian Thomas and where he is at in Dynasty right now. And I believe it's 21. Am I right? 21 for Brian Thomas Jr. So he is ahead of Adunze, ahead of Marvin Harrison, but behind McConkey, who we're going to talk about in a second. You buying, selling, or holding Brian Thomas Jr.?
now I know I just said it's only up from here, but I think that's numbers wise. I think when you look at where he's ranked, I would honestly say it's a hold because, or I mean, maybe, if you want to sell and try and tier up, but I just think for now, you're not going to sell and tier down because I think, maybe some of those guys, especially like Zay Flowers, honestly, I'd much rather have BTJ over Odunze, and I much rather have BTJ over Marv. I know those are two guys who we're talking about. So I think he's right in that, but I also wouldn't be going up and going, I obviously if you can get a 1-for-1 sale, but I don't think people are going to be doing, straight up 1-for-1 Romo Dunze for BTJ, Marvin Harrison Jr. for BTJ. If they're smart, at least I know that's what I wouldn't be selling him for. So I think for now it's going to be a hold, in my opinion.
I would agree with hold. I mean, there's the upside is Trevor Lawrence showed us the prospect we all hoped he was going to be coming out of Clemson, right? Finally. It just took 5 years, Chaz. But he's still super young. Trevor Lawrence is a really young prospect coming out. So you have that in your back pocket. But there's a negative of, yes, the situation's great with Trevor Lawrence, and Liam Cohen is a genius. But Liam Cohen, we saw the year he was with Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin outproduced Mike Evans that season in fantasy and numbers, right? And like Chris Godwin is not the player Mike Evans is, but the offense is much more suited for underneath passes, slot receivers, tight ends, running backs. And like that's my concern because Brian Thomas has not shown us the ability of being that tough, gritty player across the middle. And
definitely not.
Unless they can change either his play style up a little bit, he can get a little stronger, or they're going to tailor the offense and get him some more design targets. If he's just out there running Marquez Valdez-Scantling routes down the field, that's not what I want. That's inconsistent fantasy production game to game and year to year. Like you're depending on big plays and touchdowns. And I think one of the upside things is Brian Thomas has, I believe, 3 rushing touchdowns in his career in 2 years. I think he only had 1. He had 1 week 1 last year. Wow. He had 2 as a rookie year. Remember those little end arounds? Like Brian Thomas is great if you get the ball in his hands.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a hold, man. I'm definitely not selling it just because I think the ability is amazing. And the fact that I said on this show that he was such a raw prospect and he came out and went for 1,300 or 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns with Mac Jones.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But then last year was so disappointing. So I feel like we're kind of back where we started with Brian Thomas and super young player. It's just, dude, they like Parker Washington, right? We got to see what happens with Travis Hunter. That's the X factor here we didn't mention. Travis Hunter. Is he going to be playing mostly defense? If they're trying to have him as a 50% offensive player, what we saw about Travis Hunter is he's a target earner. Not even an earner. They're just going to give him targets. They're going to design plays for him because all the draft capital they gave up. And then they just signed a Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is not an old receiver. He's not young, but he's going to have 2 or 3 years of being the quote-unquote one, right? The 1A, 1B, whatever you want to say. But like, that's a crowded room. And Liam Cohen likes to utilize his running backs, and that's in the running game and the passing game. So this is a hold for me. But I feel like if you want to play aggressive, it's a buy. If you want to go
Yeah, I like that,
YOLO,
actually.
you buy the
Yep.
talent, right?
Yeah, I think it's just obviously, what we're saying. I think some managers will be pissed because, especially in Dynasty, I mean, I had him and I didn't really want to sell him with where he was at, but obviously now looking, I wish I did. I mean, he was ranked as like a top, 8 or 9 Dynasty wide receiver going into this past year. Looking back, that was obviously way too high, and he was honestly, I don't think he was ever going to have the ability to live up to that. I mean, unless he produced almost the same exact numbers that he did with Mac Jones, but then we didn't, it was Mac Jones going from like I said, Mac Jones to T-Law is way different, so I think it was almost impossible to put up those numbers to like actually affirm his status as a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go out there and make a risky buy, you know, I would not hurt you at all for that or punish you at all for that. I think that's more than acceptable.
The guy still does ooze talent. Let's not lie.
It's years away, don't care. Jesus Christ. You ooze talent.
I mean, that's pretty much just what we said with Marvin Harrison. Like the guy has amazing talent. Just we'll see if he can get back to. I mean, obviously Marvin never had elite, production, but we'll see if BDJ can get back to that elite production.
All right, ready for me to get a little spicy here with you? I thought I've been reining it in a little bit here. Lad McConkey, the donkey. I've been waiting because Lad McConkey, we're going to get to the graphic in a second, but wide receiver 15 for Lad McConkey. Let's pull this up real quick. Wide receiver 15 is unreal. He was the, fifth receiver in that class. Really small guy out of Georgia, wide receiver 15, guys. He is ahead of a lot of really good players. Now, I don't know if the hiring, obviously they've been doing well. Herbert took a step up this year, but the hiring of McDaniel, is that factoring into these rankings? Because how long is he even going to be there? We're talking Dynasty right now. Probably a 1-year rental at offensive coordinator. Yeah. And, you have Trey Harris there. You still have Quentin Johnson there. I'm guessing Keenan Allen retires, but Gatson is a good player. Hampton's there. It's a lot of mouths there. And also in a team that wants to run the ball. And I don't think Lad McConkey's a good player. And again, this is another guy that I hated. Last year, I said it was a fraud. Going into this year, he was one of my most faded players. And everyone's like, all he does is produce. And this one is the same. This is actually more frustrating than Brian Thomas for me because Lad McConkey stayed healthy, right? Like Brian Thomas, you could say injuries, whatever, Liam Cohen, the regime change there. What's Lad McConkey's excuse for this year? The numbers look okay on paper. It was like 66 catches, 900 yards, and 6 touchdowns. The eye test was awful. Game to game, he disappeared. A lot of 3 for 30s. He is playing a role where you should not disappear. You're a slot receiver tied to Justin Herbert, and you're getting the second or third best corner, sometimes a linebacker on you, and you can't perform. I hate Lad McConkey. I think he's trash. Wide receiver 15. This is the easiest sell in the history of sells I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more on page with you. I think obviously when we're looking at Lad McConkey, the one thing that everyone had going with him was that he was Mr. Consistent. He was going to give you a high floor, but he also wasn't going to go out there and give you a top 5 wide receiver type of year. And then obviously now last year we see, okay, maybe that floor is a lot lower than what we thought it was. And because this is definitely the floor, and can it get worse? And so then for him to now be ranked as a top 15 wide receiver in Dynasty rankings is just, it blows my mind seeing this. I understand, I love the fact that McDaniel's there, but I love the fact that McDaniel's there for Hampton and not for Lad McConkey. So I'm trying to sell Lad McConkey and get, draft capital. Like I would move him for any of those 3 highlighted wide receivers and trying to get, a second on top of a first, maybe on top if you can, if, people don't think highly of those guys. But I think it's a perfect time to, kind of hit the evacuate button on him.
Like he is 2 spots below Garrett Wilson and 1 spot below Chris Olave. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we want Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, and Marvin Harrison over Lad McConkey, right?
Yeah. And also the thing is, if he's
that's all you got to say.
Guys,
I mean, those guys are so much lower.
Yeah, and if he's apparently ranked that close to, I mean, as you just said, Olave and Wilson, what can you add to him to try and get one of those guys? Like how close does a manager in your league, feel about them? That's something I would be going to look for if you had Lad.
And a couple more points that, beyond the fact that I hate the film of Vlad McConkey, he is an awful blocker. I mean, he's a tiny human, so obviously he's not going to be a good blocker.
Very tiny.
But let's look at where the NFL is going right now. Look at what the Rams did this year. So much 13 personnel. They were pulling early in the year. They were pulling Puka Nacua off the field to play Davis fucking Allen. Okay, so like, who's to say that the Chargers don't draft a move tight end or an inline tight end, and they're gonna run gas into their tight end, right? Like, they're not pulling Trey Harris off the field. They're not pulling Quentin Johnson off the field. These aren't like household names or amazing names, but like, Puka Nacua was pulled off the field. And then once Devontae Adams had his injury in the playoffs, they were pulling Devontae Adams, a first ballot Hall of Famer, off the field. So like, Lad McConkey has literally lived on volume and snap share. It's been an elite snap share. But like, I could see a world where he is down to 66% next year, just based on he's in the game in obvious passing situations. Your 3rd and 7s, right? Your 2nd and 10s. And if you're taking away the snap share from a player like Lad McConkey, that is not a red zone merchant, right? He's not really a great yards after the catch player. He's quick. He's not he's not breaking tackles, right? Like, what do you have with Lad McConkey? You have a literally what he did this year. You have a 65, 70 catch guy for 900 yards, which is fine. You have a wide receiver 3 is what he is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you would also feel like this, but it reminds me of a late in his career Tyler Lockett. A small guy, not going to take hits, not going to, break loose very often. So I don't know how you kind of like that comparison, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing.
Jason, it is a good call. The upside is Justin Herbert. We've always loved Justin Herbert. The fantasy community, the stat nerds, advanced metric guys love Justin Herbert. And like, Justin Herbert's one tough son of a bitch. We all know that. He's got a rocket arm. Like, he is the prototypical, like, like we all like against Jalen Hurts in the show. And like, obviously he's got the accolades. Justin Herbert's such a better quarterback. If you could build a quarterback in the lab, it's pretty much Justin Herbert. It's actually not even Josh Allen, because Justin Herbert that's the most natural thrower of the football I've ever seen. And like, dude, he's got some touch. He's super mobile. He's huge. And like, that's the scary part if we're going to be all against Lad McConkey, is being tied to Justin Herbert. As much as we want to say the Rome thing and being tied to Caleb Williams, like, Justin Herbert has proven a lot more. Now, he hasn't in the playoffs. We're talking fantasy football here, though. And Justin Herbert is that dude, still super young. That's the worry. And you know what? I need to get the Family Guy cutaway. I need to get some is it Herbert? I don't think his name's Herbert. It's the neighbor, the old man. He's such a pervert. He just loves all young boys. And yeah, I got to get a cutaway for that. But you know what? I have something similar I can play, but it's not quite as good as that. So here you go.
Hey, you ever accidentally masturbate to young pictures of your mom?
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
You have any last comments at Lad McConkey? Did we hit it all? I mean, it seems like wide receiver 15.
I think we hit it all. Just overvalued to the max, in both of our opinions, and try and sell now to either upgrade or tier down a couple tiers, go get an extra first, go get an extra second, but still remain in that same tier of player that we honestly would much rather have, like BTJ over him, Marvin Harrison over him, Robert Dunze over him. So just do that in all cases if you can.
All right, we'll get back to the list in a little bit. I'm going to hit you guys with the intro. We have a couple questions to get to, and we'll get back to the list.
Man, Tevin Coleman is a crazy comp for Travion.
It's a very accurate comp. By crazy, you mean accurate.
It's crazy accurate, but it's just like crazy how we never thought that would be the comparison after this year.
It's not the worst thing in the world, though, because Tevin Coleman was pretty functional, pretty good for a while. It's just not what the Travion Henderson bros want to hear. And it's also not what the Patriots want when they spend a top 22 pick on the guy? 22?
No, I thought it was like 35. I thought it was 35.
Whatever, 35. It was high. It was high. I don't care. I want to say it's higher than it was. All right. Say hello to Helen Hunt. Helen hasn't made an appearance on the show. Hello, Helen. There she is. Without makeup, there's Helen.
She always
gotta shout out the Patreon bros. Appreciate everybody in here, guys. You guys are keeping the show going. Still 5 nights a week this time of year. This is pretty much the deadest time to talk football. February, right? We have the combine coming up. We have free agency. We have the draft, and then we have in May. In my personal opinion, I start doing best ball. So I think May and February are the most dead times in the NFL. These are all sickos. Our fans are sickos. We're fucking sickos. That's what we do. But beyond just supporting your boys, which is a giant perk, keep the show going, man. We're grassrooting this shit. I don't know if that's the right word, but you get access to the Discord community, which is the place to be. Community fantasy leagues. We have 1 spot left for the Dynasty League, Chaz. Drafting that one in May. Getting everything together by March. Okay. Guest appearances on the show. You want to be sitting next to me and Chaz, in between us, on my face, whatever you want to do. Get on the show. I like having fans on the show. We had Mouth on last night. Jason was on for Tropic Thunder. Mark's been on a bunch of times. Free merchandise giveaways, which every single month I give away these hats right here. Getting shirts shortly. You can be sending those out as well. Rep your boys. Also pretty nice fucking goddamn hats. And the biggest perk of all, I know this isn't quite as relevant recently because the NFL is not going on right now, but access to the bets, the early plays, 96 and 58 on the year, Chaz, 205 and 125 all time. All documented bets. I send out the bet slips in the Discord. The second I make the bets, get the odds I do, make money. So you'll eventually be paying me a little bit of money. You'll be making a lot more money. Everyone wins. That's the goal of the channel. We like making people money. We're going to have about 10 plays for the NFL draft. Me and Storey going to have about 10 future plays in terms of over-under draft position. Maybe some long odds plays for first tight end draft, things like that. We do pretty well on those. It's you got to get in the market now, though, before we do some now before the combine, and that's where you can really make some money with the bets they do have out there, because the combine, as we know, Chaz, changes everything.
It does. It's very weird knowing how, a set of 6 numbers based on how you do on certain tests can determine your draft stock. But hey, it has a very high indicator in the NFL, and you see it especially with speed, is one example. So it's interesting.
We call it the underwear Olympics around here because there's no one in pads or helmets. They're wearing fucking underwear, man. Anyways, if you want to support your boys, professionalfanatics.com. Link in the description for that. Check out the websites. Get in the Patreon. I'll get you in the Discord. Chaz, what do we call the Discord? Do you remember? You know what it's called? It's the place to be.
What do you call it, Kramer? It was. Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the place. The place to be. Yes.
Better be simpatico with me on that one. Come on, you got to get it. You got to get it. It's timing. It's like making love, right? You got to know what you're doing.
I wasn't here last week. Yep.
Yeah, you miss 1 week and you just forget everything.
It went in 1 year, went out the other.
God, you're on professional fanatics probation. Jay says Malta report citing Hunter will primarily be playing cornerback this year. Do you believe any of this shit? Especially coming out now, I don't. But they have a lot of receivers, so why would they put him at wide receiver?
Yeah, I kind of believe it a little bit, but then I also want to believe that, like you said, they're going to try and get him like when he's in the game and, for whatever 50% of the time, we also need to realize that they came up in the draft for him. They traded up through 3 spots. They traded up, an extra first round pick to get him. So, they're not going to only just use him as a cornerback. So it'll be weird seeing, how he's utilized going into next year, but I wouldn't believe anything that coaches say, in February.
I agree. Also, as always, gentlemen, we are doing the Pro Fan Fundraiser. Every 5 Super Chats, beer chug. Every $20 Super Chat, beer chug. Everyone that signs up for the Patreon during the live stream, beer chug. Also, I'm adding in a shot. Beer chug and a shot. I'm trying to get a little frisky tonight. Frisky with the whiskey. And then as I say that, Jason drops a $20 banger, which is boom, a beer chug and a shot. Tried to send some supers last night, but they didn't like my choice of words, and it became a hassle a couple beers in. So if you try saying in the chat or in supers, if you try saying anything that's YouTube is weird, as we know. If you try saying anything a little bit raunchy, even though I can say whatever I want with my mouth, I can say cunt, vagina, right? Like poopy vagina. I can say all these things, all these vagina terms, right? And I'm allowed to, but you just can't say it in the chat. So, Jason, we love you. We miss you, my dude, and appreciate you.
Thank you, Jason.
He's the man. He's the man. We miss Jason. He's the man with probably the greatest beard ever. It's very epic. So he's probably salty at me for shaving mine. I did rock a mustache for like a week or two, and what's funny is I did it and I shaved everything off, and I refused to not have facial hair. So I had to rock a mustache, and I had that on Valentine's Day with my wife, and she fucking hates the mustache. But you know what? That's the perk of being with me, or the not perk. Guess what? You're gonna do with an asshole and an idiot. Not an asshole, but just like an idiot. You know?
It's something new. It's something new each and every day with you, Rob. That's
Thanks, man.
what she's got to realize. It good and bad. Good and bad.
And it's been 11 years we've been together. How has she not realized that I'm me? I'm not going to change. You know, I can try to grow as a person, but like I'm also going to grow out my facial hair in weird ways. So
yeah, like core person is never going to change.
All right, we appreciate you. I'm going to show you a Helen Hunt picture just for that super chat. My dude, got to do a little chug a lug here, and we got to get back to the list. Give me your last thoughts on Travis Hunter. So, you mentioned that they traded up for him. So, like, for me, that's a reason they need to play him in offense because he's going to last longer as an offensive player. But the counter to that is they have Jacoby Myers. They traded and signed Jacoby Myers. They love Parker Washington. He has only shut out. Parker Washington is not an old player. He is going to be a third-year receiver. He's young. Right, and Brian Thomas, they spent a first-round pick on and had elite numbers his rookie year. So where does Travis Hunter fit in, and what do you think the usage is going to be?
You know, I think that's the question of the hour that everyone's trying to get answered. You know, it's a very stacked wide receiver room, and the fact that he's going to have to try and fill a void where that really isn't there, or is a very, very small void. He's going to have to be working for every target that he gets. But, I mean, as you said, it's a guy that you traded up for in the draft to go play cornerback and wide receiver. So I'm going to assume they're not just going to do what they did to him, what they did to like DJ Moore this year. I don't think they're going to limit him to just 4 or 5 targets a game that are almost meaningless. In this sense, I think they're going to get him, if he is in the game, meaningful targets, which means a lot. Yeah, I mean, overall, it'll take a lot though to get him to where fantasy or especially like I know in my league, someone took Travis Hunter at the 102, which we all roasted the dude for. It'll take a lot to, for him to fulfill that role of being 102.
Can we disagree that Travis Hunter was a bad pick? Like, because he was definitely raw at wide receiver, right? And I know it was limited last year at cornerback, but he did not look good as a corner. He's undersized. His ball skills are probably something we've never seen at corner because like we've never seen it, everyone just plays wide receiver if they have the option, right? Or if they're close on both. But in terms of like footwork and technique, he is miles away. So it's like he is raw at both positions. They got to fucking pick one because if you keep on just stringing the guy along, like I feel bad for him because it's just tough. Like there's a lot. Like I know people think, oh, it's just football, it's dumb, dude. The only position that you would say is probably easy to play would be defensive line, right? Where you're just, pin your hair back and rush the passer, or running back. Yep. Wide receiver and cornerback, you got to know a lot of shit. Defense especially, you got to know that you can't, like, it takes one play, one misassignment in the NFL, and you just cost your team 7 points, 80-yard touchdown. So, like, you can't just be athletic. You have to actually know what you're doing. And, like, that's too much on the kid's plate. So, like, I feel bad for him. I think it was a bad pick. And, like, what's funny about this is they got fleeced by the Browns. Like the Browns, and I don't necessarily like the pick of Mason Graham. I think he's a safe player, but like they got another first-round pick out of it, and they got Mason Graham. So it's like Mason Graham might end up being as good as Travis Hunter, and they got an extra first-round pick. And like when you get fleeced by the Browns, that's not good, bro. That's like getting your house robbed by a fat chick. You know what I mean? It's like one thing if like she's hot and she like does the whole like the Seinfeld thing where you get like handcuffed to the bed because she's super hot. You're like, I'll do whatever you want. You got handcuffed to the bed and robbed by a fat chick. And like, don't let her do that. She's strong and powerful. She'll overpower you anyway. Don't do that. So, like, that's what the Browns did to the Jaguars, and it's just rough. But all that being said, they won 8 games at the end of the year and won 13 games, even with trading up for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, they made what seems to be a pretty bad move, and they still. I mean, if they beat Buffalo at home, I could easily see them, making a run for the Super Bowl. So it changes. Things change so quickly, but it's tough that they're not going to have their first round pick, especially with the troubles of Travis Hunter going in next year.
Yeah, Blake says, shut up, Blake, media manager on the channel. You're the man, Blake. Combine starts February 26th. Let's go. Like I said, man, we the only down month from here on out is May, but you're going to have me on here drafting best balls every single night, as well as, your typical 3 or 4 shows. And then starting in June, full allotment of guests. We have 8 awesome guests in the show, rotate in and out. You're going to see Chaz at least once a week on this bitch. It's going to be great. We're going to make a lot of money next year, as we made a lot of money this year. So it's going to keep on getting better because I'm learning, right? I'm still learning. I've played 25 leagues a year the last 6 years. I've played probably 300 fantasy leagues in my life. Not best ball. I'm talking about redrafts. Like, I'm 37 years old. That's multiple lifetimes of fantasy football. If you play 3 leagues a year, like, you're never reaching 300. I'm sorry. No one lives that long.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been around that long. So, like, I'm still learning, bro. And I'm learning from you guys. I'm learning from the chat. I'm learning from my research, all this kind of stuff. That's why I love the show, is I rely on income from winning fantasy leagues. And again, I don't tell you guys to do. I would never tell you guys to do anything I wouldn't do. And that's in life as well, Chaz, which actually might lead you down some wrong paths. You don't want to do what I did in life.
So I would say interesting paths. I wouldn't say wrong paths, just interesting situations that you could end up in.
Yeah, I raw dogged a lot of randos, bro. Like, a lot of randos.
Hold on. What is the absolute least amount of money you could get paid to blow a guy?
Now we're talking. If I'm honest with myself, yeah, I'd have to say $900. Oh my God!
$900.
All right. Oh yeah, that's really low for me. Mine would be at least $950. Moving on, Adonai Mitchell. Believe it or not, guys, we're going on based on where they were drafted in that 2023. It was 2024 draft. Adonai Mitchell was a 6th receiver taken. He was given up on by the Colts. And I've been saying this forever. What a bad trade by the Colts. They traded 2 firsts and Adonai Mitchell, who was a 2nd-round pick. Let's all be honest. Adonai Mitchell was a 1st-round talent. Knucklehead tendencies. That's why he dropped to the 2nd round out of Texas. But what a bad trade to get Sauce Gardner, who's a bum. Again, another funny situation of you got fleeced by the Jets. The Colts got fleeced by the Jets. So the Jets and the Browns are fleecing teams. What a world we're living in last year. Adonai Mitchell. Here's what's crazy about Adonai Mitchell. Let's just look at his profile real quick. Just measurable. 6'2", what is that? 205, 6'2", 205, 4'3", 440. That is essentially Brian Thomas's measurables, even better than Marvin Harrison in terms of size speed comp. And he fell because of his personal stuff, right? And we saw some of that come to fruition with the Colts, with the fumbling, at the goal line, the Deshaun Jackson. He also had the holding penalty. Like, he's just been a knucklehead, some questionable hand stuff. But Adonai Mitchell was an elite prospect. Let's remove what happened with the Colts. Let's go off his draft profile, right, which isn't elite. He's a physical specimen. I didn't realize he was a 4.34 guy with this size. That is elite stuff, bro.
He's quick, and the thing that I also want to point out is he got traded to the Jets, and with the abysmal play, we also saw Garrett Wilson out. He looked good. I mean, I watched those games because I would always be starting, whoever the Jets quarterback was. I was in QB hell, and I was starting Breece Hall every week. Pretty much I was in hell having to start those 2 guys. And what I saw I was like, wow, what the hell is, Adonai Mitchell doing, playing this well? And I know it was only 2 weeks, you can say that, but when he was out there, he looked good. I'm buying him. That's just like from where he's.
You ready to see where he's at?
It's so low, so low. Wide receiver like 70. What is it? 73.
73, bro. Wide receiver 73. Now, the caveat of he Garrett Wilson's there. He's on the Jets. You know who's on the roster right now for quarterbacks? What's his name? Is it Davis? Is it Davis Allen? What the hell is his name? It's the guy that was Brady Cook.
Like Brady Cook. Yeah. Yep.
Brady Cook and Justin Fields, who's most certainly getting released. And either way, Justin Fields is awful. They don't have a quarterback. It might be Kyler Murray, but it can't be worse than what it was last year. And wide receiver 73, like, Jalen Noel is ahead of him. Like, what are we talking about here? Adonai Mitchell. We just talked about his player profile. This is the ultimate buy of buys. As you know, Chaz, I was talking up Adonai Mitchell after that trade so much, and it was hit or miss, but he was still, based on being a free agent pickup, not even a waiver wire guy. He had a couple good games. He got the target share. The eye test was good, though. And I know he had the first game with the Jets where he dropped all those passes with Justin Fields. That's going to be the Adonai Mitchell experience, but like he can clean that kind of stuff up. I feel like he is way too talented and way too young to be at wide receiver 73. This is a buy. I would pay up. We're going to talk about this guy later, but Troy Franklin at 59. Who do you want? Troy Franklin or Adonai Mitchell?
Mitchell. I honestly hate saying it because Franklin is good, but he's just not, I just think Mitchell's better, in my opinion.
Dude, Jerry Jeudy is wide receiver 65. Like, Jerry Jeudy is flamed out multiple places. He's not old. He's like probably 28, I would guess. Like, Jerry Jeudy's in the Browns. And, like, they're going to bring in guys there. Like, Shedeur Sanders isn't great. Like, Jerry Jeudy's going to get surpassed. And, like, he's just not very good. We've seen many years of Jerry Jeudy. We know what Jerry Jeudy is, right? He's never going to pop off again. So maybe as a floor play, in this range of wide receivers, they're on your bench. I don't want floor plays on my bench. I want fucking possible league winners, guys that could be my wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2. And some of these guys don't fit that criteria at all. Like, maybe you can give me a guy like Pat Bryant, guys like that. But, like, Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver 73, this is just free fucking money, bro. I am all about this one.
Yeah, looking at that list, the only guys that I would want would be, Dobbs or maybe Harris, or maybe Coker. Like those are just only the 3 guys that I would much rather have over Mitchell. So it's a huge buy. Go get him for something low.
Does he look small for 6'2"? He does look kind of small. I didn't realize he was 6'2", 205. But like this is combine measurements. This is legit. He is 6'2".
Yeah, you say 6'2", 205. It didn't look like he was that when he was playing or when I was watching him. But shoot, if that's the combine measurements,
yeah, you can't fuck with that.
It's really good.
Jason says if the Browns win a Super Bowl and the Jets win another one somehow, some way in my lifetime, I'll listen to Downtown Sports on repeat after the Drake London Mike Evans take. See, I think there's more to this. As we all know, there's more to this. It's not about the Drake London Mike Evans take. I think that was just like that put Jason that way pushed him off the cliff. Like that just like was a turning point there. And I love friendly debate. I love rivalries. I feel like, what a great sports show would be? I think this would be a great sports show. And as much as I hate First Take, I got to get this graphic off here. As much as I hate First Take, I want a show of Jason and Mouth debating sports. That would be the ultimate. Dude, you know what? I'm going to, like, once a month, I want that on the channel, boys. And I could just be in the middle in a small little screen. And, like, that would just be amazing. That would be fucking cinema.
You are primarily just the mediator. You're like, okay, guys, like enough. We just gotta move on, and then you start bickering about another tape.
I'm like Judge Judy in divorce court, and like I have a gavel and shit, and that would be fucking amazing. That would be fucking amazing. Can we please
slam
get
it?
that?
You're gonna be like, this person's more right than this person, or just let's move on.
Yeah, well, it's not about who wins. It's just about like just who's. It would just be funny. I think it'd just be fucking awesome
going at it.
Television or radio. The world might end if they win. Who's going to win first? I'm going to ask you this, Chaz. Who's going to win first, Browns or Jets? And I guess the answer could be neither, but like let's take that out of the equation, right? Who's going to win first? Because let's say the NFL goes on for 200 years. Someone will win. Someone will win.
Gosh, I'm going to say just because of, oh my gosh, both ownerships. Okay, I'm gonna say Jets just because I think eventually, big sports market. I know fans have already been complaining for however long, but I think eventually it has to end. For Cleveland, it's like the Cleveland Browns are not that important, but like the Jets, if the Jets are good, just think about how much they can be bringing to, MetLife and how much they can do for that organization. I know it's been so bad, but I eventually think the Jets will be all right. I think they're also more open to change. I know we saw them stick out with Stefanski, but however many years that was. But he was also a really good coach that just had a terrible team always put around. So
it's a great question, just because it's like which girl's hotter, and one's missing a fucking leg and the other one like doesn't have a pussy. So it's like, well, like I can't fuck one of them, but the other one has her limbs. Like I don't know which one I like more. They both suck. Which team is better now? Who's in a better position now? Because I feel like the Browns have more talent. But like I mentioned before, I love the trade. I love the Sauce Gardner trade. They got a decent amount for Quinnen Williams. So like the Jets have a lot of capital. Now the Browns also have a lot of capital. But both these teams will inherently fuck that up. They will make bad picks. If they make the right pick, they will trade them away. The guys will get disgruntled. That's just the story. That's older than time. But I think I agree with you in the Jets. I think the Browns have more talent, but the Jets have a lot of draft capital. And I think they're in a position where they will lose a couple more years. And, they will eventually bottom out. The problem is you think these teams, they bottom out 7, 8, 9, in this case, like 15 years in a row. They should build some talent on their roster, but somehow they don't build talent. It's really wild.
Well, the funny thing is they went 3 for 3. Didn't they have they had 3 first-round picks one year? I think it was they had Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and then it was someone else. And they hit on all 3 of those picks, so it's like they can get talent there. It's just like they had the perfect storm, and it still went completely south. Like each one of those first round picks hit, 3 cost controlled guys for 5 years, and ends up selling Sauce Gardner for 2 firsts and Mitchell, which hell of a trade. I don't know how they pulled that off, but
the Browns also had Baker Mayfield, who actually won a playoff game for them and was the number 1 overall pick. And they chose to give him away for peanuts and then make a trade to give away their future in terms of draft capital and pay Deshaun Watson the most guaranteed money of all time while he was in the midst of scandal, injury, scandal, and he didn't really prove much to begin with. So like all those things are so wild. Like that is the worst sports trade in the history of sports. Like, it really is, because the Baker Mayfield thing is like a cherry on top. Like, it was bad before that, but you could have just had Baker Mayfield and all those assets, and Baker Mayfield would have taken a way, way lower contract. Look, he's a bargain right now in Tampa Bay, as Jason knows. And he's such a good guy. He's a team guy. His teammates love him. I think Baker Mayfield may be one of the most beloved teammates and quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, the dude is headbutting people. He is Mike Vrabel as a quarterback, right? And everyone loves Mike Vrabel. Like, that's Baker Mayfield. He's a linebacker out there. That mentality of just like, I'm one of the guys, right? He's the opposite of Russell Wilson. What Russell Wilson became as this diva. I want my own like area. I get an office. I'm Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, you fucking suck. What a bum.
Talk about Russell Wilson and talking about worst trades. If the Broncos didn't bounce back after that trade for Russell Wilson, I would say that would have been one of the worst trades ever. But because they bounced back and then they were in the AFC Championship and, they have a promising future, I'm not going to say it's as bad as what it was compared to obviously where the Browns are at after making their trade.
I feel like if Baker was to watch a fantasy or sports show, it would be this show. He's our kind of guy. You know what I mean? He'd hang out, Blake says he smokes cigs in the off season. He would just have some beers and just, talk about a bunch of shit. All right, let's move on to the next name. I've kind of lost my track. Where are we at now? What are we doing? Are we doing?
We just had Mitchell.
Troy Franklin. Ugh. I think I gave everything away with Troy Franklin there. Troy Franklin out of Oregon. He was Bo Nix's teammate. That's why people liked him coming out.
Yeah.
I think he was overdrafted. He is a string bean, guys. Terrible hands. Seventh wide receiver drafted. Had some moments this year, but we also saw him get pulled off the field for little Jordan Humphreys. I mean, that happened even with the injuries. Like they showed us what they thought of him, and we're gonna get to the numbers here. They're not good because he is sitting at, what did we say, 67? 59. Jesus, 59 for Troy Franklin. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Way too high, and just. I mean, they're gonna bring in someone, right? I think they have to. Like, you know,
they're going to trade. They're
receiver-wise.
going to actively try to get Pickens. They're going to try to get AJ Brown. I don't think Tyreek Hill is in that conversation, or they're going to draft somebody. Although they don't have the draft capital to get the top 3 guy, but it's a decently deep wide receiver class. They got to do something because Cortland Sutton is an aging receiver. I'll put it at that. And again, Chaz, I know Chaz hates hearing this. He's the biggest Cortland Sutton dick sucker in the history of the world.
It was just for last.
You know the cutaway. Here, real quick, I gotta play this because this is right up Chaz's alley. We just played this one. I'm gonna double dip this one.
Hold on. What is the absolute least amount of money you could get paid to blow a guy?
Now we're talking. If I'm honest with myself, yeah, I'd have to say $900. Oh my God!
Quick, Chaz. Top of your head, you're a smart man. You're a straight man. By all documented straight man. It's still we don't know yet, but so how much to blow a guy? Is it $1 million right now? $1 million. A clean individual, rich guy, $1 million offers you to suck his dick. Cash, no, not taxed.
Not cash taxed. Not taxed cash. That'd be honestly, it'd be hard for me to say no. It wouldn't be a firm yes, but it would be very hard for me to say no. I say you bump that to like 10 mil for sure.
2 million. 2 million. No one finds out about it. No one finds out about it. It's your secret. You just have all this million. You say you won at the casino.
Five.
Okay. All right. His number's 5. What's the number for Cortland Sutton? So you love Cortland Sutton. I'll give you my number in a second. You love Cortland Sutton.
Oh,
what's your number for Cortland Sutton? Like $5?
I will lower it to 4.
$4. So yeah, Chaz is on record saying $4. My number is $1 million for sure, bro. I'm out here. I'm a homeless man looking for change. Some of these nights I make literally $2 on super chats. Like I make $2, and then you mix the Patreon monthly. Like some of these nights I'm making $9 a show. Like I'm just saying, like how could I turn down $1 million? I could do a lot on this channel just by sucking one dick.
So what's the lower? What's the lowest you're going in?
I don't want to say that because I might turn some people off. They might think I'm gay. I don't know. I just know it's a lot lower than yours.
400K.
Not tax cash?
Not taxed cash.
Let's go, bro. I'm in. Are you the guy?
That's the one. Whoa, no. No. Okay, that was one question. I
was saying that you want to cut off your penis.
Okay.
I mean, for 25 years, I've been a slave to my peen. It rules over my brain and makes me do dumb stuff. All I can think about every day is what time's my next cum, and to tell you the truth, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of living cum to cum, so yeah, guys, I mean, I want it gone. I want my gone.
How much would it cost? How much, would it take for me to cut my dong off? Now my number goes really high. Like, I won't cut
really
it off
high.
for anything.
Really
yeah,
high. That's one of the things
I
you
ain't
gotta
doing
have.
that, bro. I ain't doing that.
I brought a little bottle of spermicidal lube, too.
And one little bottle of spermicidal lube?
Yeah, one little bottle of spermicidal lube.
Evan, that's psycho shit, man.
It's not.
It's like Charles Manson shit. What do you think Becca's gonna be psyched that you brought a bottle of lube? Oh, Evan, thank you for bringing that lube for my pussy. I never would have been able to handle your fucking 4-inch dick inside my pussy without that gigantic bottle of lube.
You know why this show's goated, Chaz? Is because most of these streams they do an hour stream, they take like 3 breaks, and they have the hour, minute and a half little be back soon thing. No, I just play some epic clips from all-time movies, and I actually segue them, so you're gonna get some entertainment and comedy, and I'll also be on here 4 fucking straight hours with no goddamn breaks unless I have to pee. So, fuck all these little bitches in the community that oh my god, I'm working so hard. You know what? This is fun. This is fun for me. Anyways, Troy Franklin, wide receiver 59. What the fuck are we talking about? That's insane, Chaz. This is the most obvious sell of sells we've ever seen.
Obvious sell of sell. We already know, as you said, they're going to be looking for additions in the offseason. We've already seen them take him off the field this past year for guys who are substantially, honestly, what we think would be way worse. But obviously that administration, coaching staff thinks that they're better. So Troy Franklin's a sell. Get him off your roster. Go get some value for him.
Couldn't say it any better myself. Let's move on because I think our opinions are pretty lockstep there on Mr. Troy Franklin. He's a bum.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He can't catch either. So that tie at Oregon to Bo Nix only take you so far.
Yep.
Roman Wilson's number 8. We're gonna talk about him just because he's just seems awful and he hasn't done anything. Ricky Pearsall is the next guy I want to talk about here. He was a first round pick, being number 9 in terms of the consensus rankings of that draft class. 6'1", pretty small, but 4.41. I feel like his film's solid. I like Ricky P. Getting shot didn't help, and then all the other injuries. I don't think the guy can stay healthy. So Ricky P, I think this is the graphic right here. Ricky P is 32.
32, but I mean, he's such a weird player because I like what I see with him, and I like that he's in that Shanahan offense. It's just, as you said, he's got the injury concerns. He actually posted a video, I think, of whether he has a wife or a girlfriend, but he was dancing in it. And literally everyone in the comments was only saying if he did this during the season, he would be out for the next 4 weeks. It's just the guy can't stay healthy.
I was going to ask, did he get hurt? Like, did he get hurt dancing?
That's what people were asking that and saying, if this happened, he would get hurt during the season. So it's like, that's the thing. People used to say, oh, it's just the fact that he got shot. Like that has nothing to do with you being injury prone. Now it's like, can this guy just stay healthy at all? And as we've seen, it's really much a no. I wouldn't mind selling him, but it's also I would tier up on that list. I wouldn't tear down from looking at the guys that are on that list. Would you agree or no?
I'm holding. I mean, I love the talent. It's not a buy. Because I do love the talent.
Definitely not a buy.
And you made the joke about the dancing. The guy that can get hurt going to the grocery store is Marshawn Lloyd. That guy goes to the grocery store and gets hurt. Like a shopping cart hits him and he's like down for the count. But those days are over for Marshawn Lloyd. But Ricky Pearsall, his on-field performance when he's been, a majority snap share player has been very good. He's tied to Kyle Shanahan. There's a lot of pluses. But he could just be the guy that just never stays healthy, right? It's always a nagging hammy or a groin or an ankle. It's always that. And the problem with Ricky Pearsall is he plays a lot like Puka Nacua. And you might think that's a great thing. No. It's not a great thing because Puka Nacua can barely stay healthy playing like Puka Nacua. And Puka Nacua is a fucking monster, okay? He's 6'2", 215. Ricky Pearsall is 190. And he plays like that. He blocks like that. He always puts his body on the line. And I like that for real life football. If I was a Niner fan, I like that. As a fantasy owner, a dynasty owner, I don't want my player doing these things. Get the fuck out of bounds. Like St. Brown's a really hard-nosed, gritty player, but he picks and chooses spots. Like he will get down because he understands he needs to be out there. His best ability is availability. And Ricky Pearsall has not shown that at all. So 32 is just that weird spot where I could give you an argument for buying, selling, and holding. Like literally for Ricky Pearsall. So I don't even want to give you a take on this one. It's just there's so many elements there, and I'm pretty sure Juwan Jennings is gone. George Kittle is out for probably the first half of the season, and what does he come back to be?
At least,
right?
At least.
So what are you left with? You're left with nothing. You're literally left with nothing on the offensive side of the ball.
You're left with the CMC game.
Right, but here's the problem, though, is if Ricky Pearsall is the number one, right, and he's this guy, like, you get a 4-week stretch of no CMC, and he's the number one, he's getting all these targets and looks and touches, he can't stay healthy during that, so, like, do I even want him to be that Justin Jefferson-level target earner? Because can he stay healthy getting 12 looks a game? I don't think so. So, like, now that lowers your floor because, well, he can't be a number one because he doesn't have that player profile, for one. And for two, he doesn't have the body to do it. And he can't the health to do it. So, like, now what are we looking at? A guy that's Brandon Ayuk, for instance, like that has that extreme efficiency. That's what you need from Ricky Pearsall, which is very viable in the Kyle Shanahan system. Yes. But it's just this is a wild card, dude. Like, if I've ever heard of a wild card, we had this show, we did fantasy wild cards. Like, this is it. He is the wild card.
So Frank is the brains and you're just the looks now? And I'm still the wild card, so that's good. No. Guys, we're forsaking the group dynamic, okay? And truthfully, Charlie, come on. I mean, nobody wants a wild card, okay? It doesn't make any sense. We don't want a maniac in our group, but there's no benefit to it. I feel like you just agreed with me, but you weren't listening to what I was saying.
Yes. You pointed at me like I said something, but I didn't.
Is he listening to it? I can't tell.
He's listening. He's not understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't even, like, get us, man.
We're talking about you.
Saul. All right, so what are we going to settle on, though? Are we going to settle on hold?
I'll say hold. I will not be able to get myself to go and say buy just because he's never been healthy. Never been healthy. Like I'm all for buying a guy for, an early second, which is where I think like his value is right now in the market. Maybe late first. I just can't mark buying that on a guy who hasn't proven that he can stay healthy for a full season in the NFL. But then obviously with what you're saying on the not wanting to sell side, because then you can also see, well, what happens if this year is the year that he stays healthy? He will put up good numbers. It just, can he stay out there?
Can you believe Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 36? What the fuck's going on?
Oof.
Like, we want Terry McLaurin over Ricky Pearsall every day and twice on Sunday. I mean,
yes. I've seen a lot of people trying to buy Terry McLaurin because of how low he has been ranked. Like, I know he's old, but man, he is not he's not that old and not that bad.
No, I think Terry McLaurin, I've been thinking about it. It's really early in the season, in the off season, and we just started the off season. But I think Terry McLaurin might be my most drafted player next year, depending on what they do, because this is Dynasty 36. I'm talking more redraft. Like, if Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 29, for instance, next year, and they bring in just another guy, let's say they bring in Brandon Ayuk or some fucking random dude. Like, Jaden Daniels healthy. Terry McLaurin, it was a lost year last year. This is the time we want to buy these players. And, like, Terry McLaurin, all he does is get 1,000 yards, right? 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and he had the year of 13 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns? Like, Terry McLaurin's a hell of a player, and he's not that old. Like, he was an old prospect, so I think he's 28, 29. Terry McLaurin's a baller, dude. I love Terry McLaurin, and just buy him, right?
Yeah, and going back to what you said you're talking more in redraft. In Dynasty, you also have years where going into them, you're going, okay, this is the year that I'm going to win or try to win at least. And then you kind of look at, okay, where is people going in redraft? Where is this? So then you're also kind of playing redraft and, okay, what is the best available player for the best price? That's honestly Terry McLaurin for this year, I think. Dynasty.
100%. All right, we got 3 names left in the list, guys. We usually go around 2 hours with the Chaz. We got 40 minutes left in the show, roughly. So get your questions in now. We're going to get to all of them. The more questions you get, the longer I will fucking stay on. I'm man of my word. Also, if you want to support the channel, obviously Patreon, get in the Discord, get in the community is the number one way. Also, just for the short term, Pro Fan Fundraiser, every 5 super chats is a beer chug. We need 4 more. 4 more. We've only had 1. It was a $20 holler from my boy Jason, but that's a beer chug. You sign up for the Patreon. You want to get in the Discord tonight. Again, these prices, by the way, are only going to go up. If you get in before the season starts next year, you're set for life at these prices. No inflation, none of that shit. Support me when I need it most. And at $20 super chat's a beer chug. That's what Jason did. And also I give a shot as well. So let's get to these last 3 names. Guys, get your comments in, and we'll get to them in a timely manner. Finish the show off strong. I love having Chaz on. Give Chaz a round of applause. He's just such an easy person to host a show with. Like, he lets me do my thing. He wants to hear what I have to say, but also the motherfucker has ball knowledge for days, and I love listening and learning from Chaz because he knows his shit.
I'd say the same thing. As you said, I love being able to sit here and listen to your take. Obviously, there's sometimes where we have different takes, but I love being able to hear your side of the story. And obviously, you're the main host here, main guy, and I just love being a part of the show. So I'm not going to do anything to disrupt that or, mess things up. So.
What a nice guy. And you know what? You are allowed to interrupt me. You never interrupt me. I've interrupted you quite a bit. So
I'll wait. I'll let you talk. There's
nice
always,
guy.
I'm very patient.
What a nice guy. He doesn't want the pressure. Like, sometimes when I leave, Chaz is just like, I'm by myself. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You'll get that. Chaz, he's slowly improving too. Chaz, you're awesome, by the way. In a year or two, you're so young, you're going to be one of the best in the business. Okay. You will be one of the best in the business because you have that. The knowledge speaks for itself, but like, you're just good. That's just all I can say. You're just very good. Let's get to the next name here. Keon Coleman, ladies and gentlemen. This is an interesting one here. Keon Coleman, 2nd round pick by the Bills. He was a wide receiver 10 in the 2024 draft class. 4'6", I said 4'6" earlier. 4'6", 140. Nice size, right? 6'3", 210. That's okay, but it's not panned out on a million levels. And there's no reason it shouldn't have, because the depth chart being tied to Josh Allen, it just has not worked. So we don't know what's going on with Keon Coleman based on where is he going to be. I don't think he's going to be in the Bills because they just sold him down the fucking river, guys. So what is that number? This is 75, 76, 77. Holy shit. Keon Coleman, wide receiver 77. This has to be a buy, right? Like, it can't be a sell because you're not going to get shit for him. So is it a hold or is it a buy? What do you got?
Yeah, I would say it's one of the two. I would say hold. I don't want to actively go out and buy him just because we've already seen him get sat by a team that literally needed wide receiver production from him. And it's hard, especially, I don't know if you're on TikTok at all or something like that. Like, there was a meme going around this year with where Cam Newton was always talking about the guys who are likable off the field, but on the field, it's like, they only give that leeway to young players. It's like, now it's time to do your job, and now you're playing like a bum. That's basically what Cam Newton was saying about Keon Coleman and Xavier Legette. So it'd be interesting. I would say buy if you can, maybe do it for like a 3rd round pick. It's just hard for me to want to buy in on that situation after seeing that he had the perfect situation, the perfect quarterback, perfect offense, and he still couldn't do anything and got sat for, terrible guys, terrible wide receivers.
And the perfect quarterback for him, because Josh Allen is in need of this big-bodied guy. He's not afraid to throw the ball up into 50-50 situations. And all those things mixed into one that you mentioned, it's been terrible. It's been terrible. It's been, he's been suspended. He's been a healthy scratch. Like, when they have Brandon Cooks and Tyrell Shavers playing ahead of him, like, what are we doing here? So he's most certainly gone. They're probably not going to get more than a 6th round pick for the guy. And then at that point, you're going to a team that has no investment in you. They have a 6th round pick investment in you. That's not good. So he's going to earn his stripes. All that being said, wide receiver 77 is free. So I'm going to take the talents, the perceived talent coming out of Florida State, and a guy that maybe has something to prove. This is going to be a move you're going to know in the first 3 weeks whether you're right or wrong. Either he's cut from your roster, he's cut from the actual team, he's out of the NFL, or he's going to carve out a role and then he can grow from there. But it's a fucking rough situation for Keon Coleman right now. What do you think of the film, man? Because the rookie year was rough. He had that injury midseason that cost him a couple games right when he was finding his stride. I believe it was a wrist injury. And then last year with the suspensions and everything. Do you like the film? Is there any? Because he can't separate. He can't separate. That speed we talked about, 4.62. He looks slower on game film. He looks slower.
It shows. And it's just the eye test is nowhere close to what you want it to be. That's the one thing that I'll go over. And then especially with, as you said, he should have been getting force fed the ball. If he was anywhere decent, or not even just, I would say even if he was just below average, not completely bottom of the barrel, he would still have been getting force fed compared to, some of those other receivers. But he just wasn't. He was getting sat, and it shows. It shows on film. He's not really that great a wide receiver. But as you said, it's a buy because if when you look at rookie draft classes and you look at, okay, who's in a 3rd round rookie draft class, I wouldn't mind giving up a 3rd, 4th round pick for him because you're taking a flyer anyway, So Keon Coleman, maybe, something that you could take a flyer on, but I also could see if you just want to hold that pick instead of going after a guy like Keon Coleman.
And what do we always say about our dynasty benches? We want booms or busts because they're most likely to be sitting on your bench for years. And a Wan'Dale Robinson type player, he's a wide receiver 4. You can start him in a pinch, but like, is Wan'Dale Robinson ever going to be the reason I win a fantasy championship? No. Keon Coleman is probably not, but there's a chance maybe he becomes the number 1 on a team. Like, it's a low chance. The wide receiver 77 is insane. Xavier Worthy is the next name he was actually after. And if you're just tuning into the show, what we're doing is buy, sell, or hold on these guys. And you're Xavier Worthy. Whoa.
Okay, here's a shot out of a cannon. Oprah, Barbara Walters, your wife. You gotta fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
All right. So Xavier Worthy, Again, you know what his 40 time was before I put the graphic up? Do you know what it was? Why he was
It
drafted
was
so
like
high?
a 4.21, right? Wasn't it a 4.21, 4.22?
Exactly. Chaz knows his motherfucking shit. It was a 4.21, guys. 160 pounds though. I will say this about Xavier Worthy: the worst on-field awareness I've ever seen of any player in the history of the world. The guy doesn't know where the sideline is. He doesn't know where the end zone is. He doesn't know where any line is on the field. I think he's colorblind or something. It's really, really, really bad. And his hands are bad. He just has no idea what's going on out there. And the speed is legit. And we saw the rookie year. You know, it was awesome when Worthy got hurt. He took that rollover and the designed manufactured touches. Put the ball in this guy's hand. He is an elite playmaker with the ball in his hand. End arounds, little wide receiver screens, little dig routes. Outside of that, like he does comp as a guy that would be great as, running go routes. Unfortunately, he cannot track the ball at all. He can't high point the ball. So he can burn guys, but he can't do anything with the ball when it gets thrown to him. So he'll burn you and he'll just drop it or just like turn the wrong direction, right? It'll be over his right shoulder, which it's designed to be. He'll turn left. I mean, so is there hope for Xavier Worthy? I'm going to get the number up here. It is, I think, wide receiver 40, I believe,
it's so
Dynasty.
high, man.
So we have 38,
so
wide
high.
receiver
Sell,
38.
Sell. The only thing people are hanging on to is that age number, as well as the fact he's tied with Patrick Mahomes. I don't see it. He's fast, yes, but man, we saw it even last year. He was getting designed. He was only getting about 5 plays where he was getting the ball designed, and everything else was just nothing near the guy. So, do you want a guy who's going to get 5 opportunities a game? No, in my opinion. So, especially at that price. So,
what about the being tied to Patrick Mahomes? Although he's coming off an ACL, I'm not worried about that. And then the fact that Rashee Rice has legal troubles, right? Like they have no cap room. They just restructured Mahomes' contract to free up $40 million this year, which is insane. But they were like $70 million above the cap. So like even no matter all the restructuring they want to do, they're not going to be a very healthy cap number. Like they're not going to bring in a lot of guys. Travis Kelce is on the fence of coming back, and even if he does, he's a shell of his former self. So like the opportunity's there, right? And the speed is there, and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the list goes on. But like the fact that we're not automatically saying this is a buy, like buy, like we were saying about some of these other guys, is very damning for Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. I mean, my first reaction is sell. So that's obviously that gives a little bit into what I'm thinking. The only thing that you could hold on to is I don't really see him as a wide receiver 1, but if you want to try and paint him as a wide receiver 1, we did see wasn't Andy Reid with the oh man, I feel like I might botch. No, I was botching that. But I was going back to Deshaun Jackson, just with his barn burner speed, being able to be a 1 there because of his speed. Now I don't see that in Worthy, but I can see if you want to comp it to something like that, and especially when you have a guy who can make it throws like Patrick Mahomes has. And I know it hasn't been there that this past year or past couple of years with his bazooka of an arm that we normally see, but I mean that would be the only reason that I could see if you want to hold on to him or potentially buy Xavier Worthy.
I'm holding or selling. It's not a buy.
Although
I can see, if you want to make an argument for buy for Worthy, I'm not going to say you're crazy just because it's not about Worthy himself, right? The other things, the other factors could make me say, like, if Rashee Rice is just gone and banished from the NFL, or he misses another 6 or 7 games, he falls out of favor with the coaching staff. If Travis Kelce retires, if Mahomes is full strength week 1, he's 22 years old, right? Like, they are invested in him based on need in terms of having not a lot of talent at the position and also draft capital. They did spend a first-round pick on the guy. And it's just how many more of these guys are we going to see the Chiefs taking when they always try to recreate Tyreek Hill. We've seen this time and time again. Mecole Hardman and just Sky Moore. Jesus, like it hasn't worked at all. Those guys are all gone.
Yep.
So this could be Xavier Worthy too. He could just be the next Sky Moore and Mecole Hardman, who are just not out of the league, but off the Chiefs and essentially wide receiver 5s, practice squad guys.
Yeah. I mean that's a high possibility. That's why I'm leaning more towards the sell. I see this as another draft bust compared to where he was drafted. Even when you have the need for the position that of the Chiefs that they do with wide receiver, I still think it's a sell. I think he's going to be a practice squad type of guy, or maybe just a wide receiver 4 who's just there to stretch the field. But nowhere close to a guy, like JMO, who's a field stretcher that can also actually, make plays, catch the ball, and do a lot more than what Worthy does.
And he's not 160 pounds. JMO's small, but he ain't 160
yeah,
pounds.
JMO's small, but yeah, he's not 160 pounds.
All right, the next name is Xavier Leggett. Before we get to him, I don't have any graphics for him because he's so low on everything. We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to play a clip. I got to take a pee. I'll be back.
Jay Quellen. No Jay Quellen here?
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Okay, so that's how it's gonna be. Balake. Where is Balake at? Yes, sir.
My name's Blake.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? Do you want to go to war, Balake?
No.
D Nice. Is there a D Nice?
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a bitch! A Ron. Where are you? Where is Ron right now?
Here.
I said it like 4 times, so why didn't you say it the first time I said Ron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
Son of a bitch!
Oh boy, his skits are always pretty phenomenal. But going on to Xavier Leggett, I think I was talking about it earlier with who Cam Newton was making fun of and who he wasn't making fun of, and I was talking about Keon Coleman, and then he was also talking about Xavier Leggett. I mean, it's a guy that you like off the field, but I mean, even Rob was saying the guy's ranked so low, right? I mean, the guy's just ranked low. I'm seeing wide receiver 78 on the flock rankings, which is what I like to use for.
No, he's wide receiver 100 on Fantasy Pros. Like 101 or something. It was so far down. I didn't want to add another graphic because I couldn't clip it with anything.
He should just be on waiver wires. Like you should be on the waiver, like that. That's really what I think it should be. I mean, he was an older rookie as well. He's 20. He just turned 25. I think it's just someone that should be on the waivers. You don't even take a flyer on him and pick him up. I think that's how bad it is. And I mean, yeah, there's not. It's not even a hold buy sell. He should just be on the waivers. So
He's a buy for me, dude. Buy.
He's a buy.
Buy. Well, it's free. You're gonna get him off waiver wires. Is what you just said.
I value the roster. Well, depending on how many roster spots. If you have a limited roster spots in the leagues that I play, it's kind of, I wouldn't say limited, but the guys that I have, I'd very much rather have over Leggett. So if you construct your team well and you have picks and have a lot of players that you value, Leggett probably won't be making your team. But I guess if you have a limited straps or limited spots, I guess he can be on your team. But he would not be on any of mine.
So you're saying it's over for his NFL career. Let's not forget, 2nd round pick. He was overdrafted for sure. Big dude, 4.39 speed. The problem is he doesn't play like that. He does not. I have not seen anything from Xavier Leggett. I loved him coming out. That was a big miss on my end. So maybe I'm just still clinging to that love of Xavier Leggett I had. But it was also not the best situation. Bryce Young's been very up and down, right? Like it's not been great. And
I can see that.
He's had opportunity. I think they've also miscast him a little bit. I feel like his best success has been out of the slot, which is not the player he comped to be. He's not an X receiver. Right? He's not physical enough. He's not polished enough, which is weird because his measurables are an X receiver. But I'm not giving up on the guy that's super young with super talent. I'm wide receiver 100. If we're talking about a league where you have 9 bench spots, like he can't be your wide receiver 9. Like again, I don't care. He might be out of the league, but there's a chance where he either finds his spot. Coker's had a bunch of injury concerns in his career. Ted McMillan's an ace. I'll give you that, Ted McMillan. But like,
he's a really good ace.
A lot of teams need receivers. Like, why can't he go? He should go to the Browns, right?
Oh God, you're gonna have Shador, who's gonna get sacked for like 4 or like 6 times a game. He's also gonna have like a 35-40, completion percentage. Who also
do you want Dante Thornton? Do you want Dante Thornton on the Raiders year 2 in Dynasty, or do you want Xavier Leggett in a vacuum?
Definitely Thornton. Definitely Thornton.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Would you agree with that or no?
Probably
It
just
seems like we're
because
very
second
conflicted
year
here, Rob,
player.
on our
Yeah,
evaluation.
I still think wide receiver 100 is way too low. So I think that the question is do you have a roster spot? Is the league deep enough? I guess is the question. That's why I didn't have any graphics for Xavier Orgat. By the way, my dad said he was watching the show live about our to suck a guy off how much money.
God.
He said my dad said I would rather be broke, no amount of money. No amount of money for my dad.
Wow.
That's
See,
saying
that's
something.
that's like the like past generation of like just never ever.
Yeah,
type of
in the
thing.
comment section, guys, how much money? How much money? Don't be embarrassed about your name on this number. No one's going to know about it besides me and Chaz and the rest of the world. What's the number, guys? It's not a homeless guy. It's a guy of your choosing, if you will. For Chaz, it's going to be Cortland Sutton. For me, it's going to be Paul Walker or Heath Ledger. Those guys are both dead, so fuck. Does that count if it's a skeleton? That's a boner. And a guy of your choosing, right? He's clean. He's showered. What's the number? How much to you gotta blow him to completion? Now the finish is up to debate. It could be on your face, could be in your mouth. It's whatever he wants. The finish is whatever he wants. He's paying you millions of dollars possibly. So in the chat, what's the number, guys? I gotta hear this. This is a great question. I always pose this question too, and a lot of guys, most hetero guys that are embarrassed to even talk anything like this, I always say, would you rather blow the guy of your choosing, or would you rather go down on a homeless, fat, old chick? We're talking a 70-year-old, 300-pound, disgusting, we're talking hair. It just smells like cottage cheese has been sitting out in the heat for 5 years. That's what this pussy smells like. So, and you have to get them off. So could you even go down there? And I'm just going to tell you, I have encountered some pretty rank pussy in my day where it's so bad I want to puke. It smells like garbage. So which one do you want to do? Now, the hetero choice is always the girl, right? Not a homeless 70-year-old fat chick. No, thank you, bro. I think what people also don't realize is vagina is all inside plumbing, right? That's grosser than outside plumbing. Penis outside plumbing. It's just skin, right? Now, it's more than just skin. We all know that, but it technically is just skin. GT says, I think 85K is reasonable. Let's go higher. See, wow. GT's my kind of guy. See, 85K is pretty low for what everyone's saying, but this is a reasonable man that's like $85,000 a year of good work in this country. For 5 minutes of work. It's not a good 5 minutes for you.
It's not a good 5 minutes, but you get it tax-free. I
can invest that money. It could mean a lot more. 5 million. Well, Chaz, you're a very bright individual. That's going to have a great degree and have a great job. So you have a bright future. Some of us losers over here who are scrapping by to pay rents. I see that, Well, I'm scrapping by to pay rent. Personal decisions, right? That's. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing exactly what you want to do. There's a lot of people are, maybe they might be better off, but they're not doing exactly what they want to be doing,
Yeah, I get it. Potato, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying, 85K. Now, I'm not saying that's my number on record because my number is much lower than that. 85K. I got a good finance guy, man. I could turn 40K into a lot of money. 80K. That could be 80K. Gigi says, yeah, let's not be snobs to the knobs. I like that. See, I feel like my community and my group of fans are more open-minded than most, and they wouldn't be watching the show if they weren't, because I'm a fucking moron. And they hear this kind of shit all the time. You know what's funny is my family hears this kind of shit at Thanksgiving dinner. So this is my topic of conversation, icebreaker. You know how you always want to put the best person, the most well-versed, funny person in the middle of the table because they can kind of like flow the conversation. In Curb Your Enthusiasm, they call it middling. Certain people just aren't capable of being a middle. I'm definitely a middle. But unfortunately, if you're gonna put me at the middle of the Thanksgiving dinner table, you're gonna get the would you rather, suck a dude's dick or go down on an 80 or 70-year-old fat homeless chick, or how much money to suck a dude. That's what you're gonna get, and you got to live with that because. It's great dinner. It's great dinner talk. It's great, at least in my mind.
It sparks conversation. That's the
it
whole gets people
goal,
debating,
right?
And yeah, that's the goal. That's the whole goal of your job is be in the middle. It's to just get people to be, talking about whatever you're talking about at that moment. and then having people build off that. And then you kind of
some people take themselves too serious, Chaz. They take themselves too seriously and they get offended. And you know what? That's one of the beauties of this country. And as you know, I mean, we haven't talked too many politics. I am not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I kind of hate politics. I lean right down the middle with different beliefs on both sides. But those people tend to take themselves too seriously. They take their views too seriously. And like, I don't. And what I love about this country, though, and some people might say I'm not a patriot because I don't vote. I love freedom of speech. And I love being able to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. I don't know if you know what's going on with in Great Britain right now. People are getting arrested for fucking memes.
Yeah,
not even their memes, reposting memes that is offensive or may like cause what was it? The wording was like cause anxiety to another. So like that could be taken and construed as anything, right? Like, and not even talking about like trans movement stuff, like anything, illegal immigration or dude. And like these people are going to jail for this shit, which is just fucked. You know what? Fuck that. I'm going to say whatever I want to say. I want to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. That's why I live in the best country in the world. And whatever people want to have their issues with this country, there are issues. Guess what? There's always going to be issues because human beings are in charge. And human beings are inherently assholes, dude. They're out for themselves. And like that's just the way of the world. But like best country in the world, I want to say what I want to say. I want to ask you how much money you would take to suck a dude off. That's a good question. It's offensive, maybe. It's offensive if you take yourself too seriously. Like the answer could be 0. My father said 0. You know, he's an old school dude.
Everyone has a different range. Everyone has a different range. Everyone's different. So, you know.
Although, shout out to Mr. Simmons. Tim, just want to say, I want to see a briefcase of cash. Maybe I'll set this up if I ever get a lot of money. A briefcase of cash of like $100 million in front of my dad, and a penis, and like. What is he going to do? Is he going to take the penis or in the cash, or is he going to say no? I don't know, bro. $100 million. That could buy a lot. You could buy awesome stuff.
The thing, if he's in like end of life care and he's like bedridden, it wouldn't mean anything.
Right, but he could also set up his kids. You know what I mean? So like be selfless, Dad. Be selfless, Dad.
So then it would be, would you do this for $100 million to give to Rob?
Unfortunately, I just preface it with if I get a lot of money, I'm going to be like setting this up. So if essentially he's taking my money, it wouldn't be my penis. It'd be someone else's penis, but I'd be like paying him to suck another dude off. And then I'd get the money back.
You get it back.
And I'd ruin his last year of his life. Like that would be pretty cynical of myself.
You could spoil him. You could do whatever the hell he wants to do. Take him around the world. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can go.
I can already imagine.
Don't leave me to my own devices.
Rob Simmons with $100 million would. Oh boy, that would. I
wouldn't be that charitable. I don't think
you wouldn't be that charitable, but you would also just blow it on some very interesting things. I feel.
And blow, yeah, maybe. High end blow. I don't want any of that fentanyl
very
shit.
High end.
See what happens, chat. You see what happens when you don't give me stuff to talk about fantasy related. I start talking about these kind of things, which maybe that's their strategy. They're like, I just want this guy to fucking go. I can go and go and go and go.
Oh, I know.
I could. Unfortunately, being a stand-up comic is hard, and a lot of people are like, you should be a stand-up. I was like, dude, that's an art form. That's very, very difficult.
That's very
people
different.
Underrate that. They think it's easy to do. Yeah, try to get your ass up there and do that. That's beyond public speaking, which most people, by the way, are terrified of public speaking. It's very tough. I hated it in high school. Honestly, I hated it. Like it was just, it's a hard thing to do. Chaz, you take a speech class in college?
Yeah, I mean, I would say back in high school, when I first got there and people I didn't know and crap like that, I used to be scared of it, but now I just kind of like, I just think, everyone is just trying to, get through it. Why not just give your best presentation? Go up there, chill, whatever. Don't be nervous about it, because then it just makes things worse at that point, in my opinion. So I've had a couple of speech classes or whatever. I had, my first and second year here where I had to present a lot. I had no issues in that. I'd say just go up there to present. Nobody really cares anyway. So go up there, present.
See, I used to always choose making videos, media, because I could do whatever I wanted, and I had some of the most wild videos I put out there. I wish I still had the copies of them because they're fucking wild. And like multiple times, because how bad or good or how weird they were, the teacher would show him to every other period, right? Like, this is an example of like what you should do or shouldn't do, or like this is like, like this guy's going for it, right? Like kind of things like that. And I did an Othello one where I dressed up in a dress and was singing, things like that, where it's like no, but I was like, this was way less work than giving a speech, and like just embarrassing myself got me an A, and like I have no fucking shame, so like I will embarrass myself for an A.
It only matters if you feel it. What I was disappointed was one time I did elect to make a video instead of present, and I made this damn good video on, because at this time AJ Brown was in the media. It was like 2022 about, various things, and I was making a pretty good video about CTE, and and my teacher, because you know how you have to upload it as a YouTube video and then you have to send it to your teacher and it'll show you how many views it gets. She never viewed it. She just gave me a 100%, which I mean, she was a chill teacher. But I was hoping that at least one person got to see that masterpiece. That's that University of Kentucky.
Chaz, I don't know that whole thing because I'm old. Like you're talking about, like I was in high school in 2005, and 2004, 2003, 2001. So I don't know any of those things. Like we didn't have YouTube back then, not like we have it now.
Oh. Okay, well, yeah. For
I'm
me,
old.
I have to upload it. I have to upload it as an unrestricted video, send it. Now, normally all my videos show up. I mean, all yours public videos probably show up. You can see how many views it gets. But that one just had no views, and I was like, damn, I at least want one person to see that amazing project I did. Because I spent time about it. Because I love literally every article was different about whatever he was doing at the time. So it was interesting.
Getting 0 views is like when you send a dick pic to a girl and she doesn't respond. It's just like, at least say it's not for me.
Well,
like to not have any response is like the worst response because you're sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, does she like it? Am I going to jail? Like, I want to get some response. And, I've had a lot of videos on this channel. This channel's been going 5 years where heavily edited videos all the time, prep, all that kind of stuff, and there's like 24 views. And it's like, dude, this video is 2 hours long. I spent 14 hours of my life in this video. By the way, all these videos that I'm talking about are up on the channel, guys. There's 350, 400 videos that were prior to the live streams. They're all up there. Me and Kappa, me and Nico, me and Storey, me and Ray. A lot of old videos. Some football, a lot of football stuff, but a lot of non-football stuff that are just really out there. Really out there.
Interesting.
So,
Rob would, when I'd be working with Rob would, he'd be on his computer, on his phone, editing it, and then he'd finish the video, and he would come and show us like the highlights of whatever the hell they're talking about. And some of the things was outlandish, but hey, it was the Rob effect of working there at, getting there at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and if people think this show is raunchy now, like again, I don't give a fuck, but like I have tapered down a little bit. Like the show, I'm way more sober on the show now, which is funny that I'm chugging beers, but like the idea of the show is much more wild back then, and
oh yeah,
it's all on record, man. It's all on record. I don't give a fuck. Like obviously, my family knows who I am. I'm not like a fake fraudulent person that just like has, I don't hide who I am, right? I don't hide. I have these dinner conversations all the time. GT with a $20 banger, just a $20 banger, no comment. That means I got to do a chug and a beer. And then we're going to do about 10 more minutes, Chaz. We can talk a little bit of football as well. I'm going to play a clip. I have to get a beer, and we got to figure out some kind of football content. Guys, get your football conversation here. Anything you guys want to know, any player, any situation, it doesn't have to be football. Anything. We'll fucking talk about. That's what I do. I'm a fucking whore. You know what I'm saying? Chaz, can you imagine if I was a girl?
Ooh, you would definitely be doing it left. You'd probably be selling it too.
Yeah, I'd be a great hooker, dude. I'd be a great hooker. Oh,
you do
Scary
the most
Terry.
outlandish thing ever. But honestly, that would make you probably one of the best in the industry, so you get paid the most.
Damn
right?
fucking straight. All right, I'm gonna play a clip while I get this beer, and we're going to chug a beer and then talk about Scary Terry.
Say somebody put a gun to your head. Said, do you want your baby to be lighter or darker? What would you choose? Why is someone holding a gun to my head
It's
and
a
asking me
hypothetical.
what
Hypothetical.
shade I would prefer my son to be?
I don't know. So
Why is he putting a gun to my head?
He wants to find out what your preference is. So you're walking down the street with Will, and he snatches you into the backseat of the car, and now he's got a gun to your head. You want a lighter or darker, baby? What shade? What shade?
Get away from me.
What color is the guy holding the gun? He's mocha, right down the middle. Right down the middle. 50-50. You want it lighter or darker?
I would say on the lighter side.
What color would you want your baby?
Shoot, low key, if I got with like a mixed and he or she came out mixed, that'd be an absolute banger of an athlete right there.
But if your girl was white, had a mixed baby, that means she fucked another dude, and that's not your kid.
Well, no, I was saying like if she's mixed and then that's what's produced.
Oh,
yeah,
right. You get what
So,
I was
like,
saying.
let's just say my white genes just got taken out of there.
Yeah, and look at this banger. Here we go. This is a full pint right here. I'm not chilling.
Ooh.
You ready? How fast? You ready?
Let's see.
It's hard because I have these limes in here. It's a monster.
Oh my gosh, Rob.
That's a monster. All right. I got a shot. I owe him a shot as well. Scary Terry. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Dynasty purposes. What did we say he was? I can pull up the graphic. He was wide receiver 30,
like
I believe.
34, somewhere around there. But we were also talking 36.
Wide receiver 36. He's 30 years old, though, which is wild because he was a 22-year-old rookie, 23-year-old rookie. He was a little older, 4 years at Ohio State. Dude, Dynasty, let's talk more redraft because I love Scary Terry in all formats, dude. One bad year, I'm buying in on the fact that was bullshit. They did him dirty, right? The holdout. It was his fault, but he deserved money. He deserved the money. And Washington's a fucking terrible franchise that's cheap.
Yeah, he deserved money, and the fact they wouldn't give it to him for so long. Gosh, I mean, you would think with the new ownership and doing things right, they would, say, hey, like this guy has contributed to our organization for years on end with pretty much no return, no success. I mean, obviously his numbers are always good, but you think playoff success and stuff like that never happened. And then he helps get them to the NFC Championship. Obviously, that was also Daniels, but like that year he also had a career year. And then to not want to pay him, very, very brutal on their side or organizationally.
Let me ask you this. I'm good, dude. I'm fucking good. I'm a tank. Let me ask you this.
I know you're a tank.
Does the backup quarterback, so Mariota's most likely gone, right? He's not going to be there next year, and he was a very serviceable backup and also a perfect backup for Jaden Daniels, who, you always want your backup to kind of mirror your starting quarterback in terms of skill set, and Marcus Mariota is perfect for that situation. It's not going to be Mariota. So if they get, let's say they spend money everywhere else, they get the defense stronger, they get the offensive line, they reinforce that, but they have some kind of bogus backup quarterback with what we saw from Jaden Daniels and the possible injury concerns going forward. Would you be more worried about drafting Terry McLaurin if the backup's a bum? Because you may get 3 or 4 games of the backup, maybe more, maybe less, whatever. Would it make you feel warmer and fuzzier, and would you almost like bump them up your ranks if they had an elite backup? I'm trying to think of an example of an elite backup, like a Mac Jones type. I know they're not going to get him. I'm just using him as an example. Or if they get a guy like Brady Cook, like is that going to be like, oh fuck, like if Jaden Daniels goes down, I'm going to have nothing from Scary Terry.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it now that you're bringing it up, it's like yes, you do want an elite backup there because I understand if Jaden somehow tweaks his ankle and he's out 3 to 4 games, even 3 games, and you're in a 14 game regular season, he's already going to be missing. About 20%, 23% of the season in a regular season where you're probably going to be drafting him pretty high, especially in redraft. I wouldn't necessarily bump him up my board, but I would, have him as a strong draft at where he's going.
I feel like the floor is so easy and the upside is only upside, really, right? Like you're talking about wide receiver 25, 26, like
oh yeah.
Give me that all day.
He'll get
Give me that all
yep,
day.
He'll get that. I think that'll be the floor. it'll just be about, Jaden Daniels staying healthy, and then how well that offense is going to produce if he stays healthy, which they should.
GT says, which is the best Curb season? I'm assuming that Chaz has not watched Curb. Have you even watched Seinfeld, you young man?
No. The only time I saw Seinfeld was like if my dad had it on in the morning when I was walking.
You have a lot of learning to do. Well, so essentially, Curb is like Seinfeld 2.0. Larry David wrote Seinfeld and then left the last 2 seasons and then came back for the finale. But then he did his own show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is more of a raw, gritty take of just his life. And essentially, Larry David is George, the character from Seinfeld. So he's just a very neurotic, very weird dude. It's his everyday life, and it's just a really weird show, but one of my all-time favorites. So I prefer Seinfeld, obviously, because I think it's probably the greatest sitcom, greatest comedy show of all time. It's that and Sunny for me, and I'm just going to give homage to Seinfeld, because without Seinfeld, great. There is no Sunny.
I have seen Sunny.
But best Curb season, 1 and 2 are weak. 3 is okay. 4 is when it hits its stride. But for me, I don't know the number because I've only seen the show 3 times all the way through, which sounds low, but like I've seen Seinfeld 10 times all the way through, maybe more. Probably 12 times all the way through. But best Curb season, I think it might be the Spite Store season where he opens up Latte Larry's, and just I love and all the seasons kind of have that, they tie in like a season-long premise that is kind of just in and out of every episode, and then all the day-to-day stuff. But, like, I love the Spite Store where he opens up a coffee shop next to Mocha Joe, and he hates Mocha Joe, and he did him wrong. So he's like, I'm opening up a coffee store right next to your coffee store. And I'm going to charge way less and run you out of business. And just all the things that go into that is just, that's a more modern, I think it's season 9. So it's more modern Curb, but you can't go wrong. The only thing I'll say about Curb that it's not as good as Seinfeld had outside of season 1 and season 2, like there's no bad Seinfeld episodes. There is, even in some of the best seasons, there are some bad episodes and some boring episodes because it's like it's Family Guy versus South Park. South Park tends to lean into a joke for an entire episode, sometimes an entire season, which if the joke doesn't hit, bad episode, bad season. Where Family Guy has 1,000 jokes per episode. Seinfeld had that aspect where like there's always redeemable moments and segments in each Seinfeld episode that hit. Where Curb doesn't quite have that. There's 4, 5, 6 jokes per Curb episode, where there's like 60 per Seinfeld episode. There's always Kramer moments, George moments. Like that's the difference in the shows. That's why Seinfeld's better. GT says, what about Ladd? So he obviously joined late. We did a whole thing on Ladd, wide receiver 15 in Dynasty, which is insane. As you know, GT, you know I hate Ladd. So I want to hear your take on Ladd because he hasn't probably heard you probably rail against Ladd because Ladd's terrible. He's not a good player. And I said that relative a good player to where he's going to be drafted in fantasy circles.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be drafted as a, probably a top 15 player or wide receiver next year. And then when you look at Ladd, I mean, the thing with him is, he's tied with Herbert. Yes, that's great. And everyone thought that his floor was high, which is what I was saying earlier. But obviously with this year, we saw his floor go drastically down. And then especially with, especially in the Dynasty aspect of a revolving door where McDaniel's probably going to come in here for a year, maybe 2. He'll be out. I'm going to say for a year. I think his offense is going to look great. I think that line's going to get healthy. I think they're going to be like a running machine next year, which is also going to be, fruit for the downfall of Ladd McConkey. And then also you got to think about, as what you were saying, Rob, with, more and more teams starting to bring jumbo packages. And, is he going to be on the field as much as he should be? And he's the guy that has to be on the field 100% of the time in order to be worth it, especially at that, price of wide receiver 15.
Rondé Gadsden's a guy I'm probably going to be about next year, just based on what we talked about the jumbo thing. But like a guy that I hated last year. Remember, I was really against picking him up, and it ended up being right. Like that's the idea of this show, and that's why we're different than other shows. I could have an opinion on a player year to year, and it could change drastically based on new information being, available to us, based on depth chart, based on opportunity, right? And that's like, here's the only upside with Ladd McConkey would be the offense. The offensive line gets way better, like you said, and the offense just goes nuclear. And I don't trust the volume, which he's not that guy. What could kill us is if Ladd McConkey catches 12 touchdowns, right? Because if this offense goes as good. The problem is Ladd McConkey is not that player.
Yeah, he's not.
So, like, what are the chances he's the guy that scores all these touchdowns? Quentin Johnson is going to be that guy. Gadsden's going to be that guy. I do really like Trey Harris. As much as I hate the counselor, and I thought his take on Trey Harris this year was batshit crazy, I didn't ever hate the player Trey Harris. I hated the opportunity. And I do believe Trey Harris, they drafted him pretty high for a reason. I like Trey Harris. So, like, there's just too many names there, and I also don't like the film. I think Glad McConkey disappears way too often. Storey has brought this up multiple times. There was multiple games at Georgia where he ended with 0 catches, and that was with, I get it, Brock Bowers was there, and he took all the love.
There, but
you're a first-round NFL receiver, and you have games in college where you had 0 catches. Like, that's a giant red flag to me. That is a giant red flag to me. Like, that's the equivalent of, like, I want to marry this girl, but she only fucks me on my birthday and on, like, Valentine's Day. Like, the sex is good, but if you're only fucking me when I just get to know you on these, like, weekends and, like, when I take you on dates, like, it's not going to get better when I marry you. It's going to get worse. I want the girl that's going to fuck me on Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon in a car. You know what I'm saying? In that case, like, the sex translation is going to be fine when we get married. It's not going to, when we're married, she's not going to fuck me at Tuesday at 2 in the car, but she's going to bang me on Tuesday night, right? I don't take her on dates. Like, that's the comparison. Yeah. See, I have the best comparisons, analogies on the show. And I don't know if they're relevant to everybody, but I'm just kind of pulling these out of my hat. They're out of my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay?
They're great. They're always great, Rob.
I'm still. I never banged a girl. I've only sucked up guys for $100 million.
Oh boy.
That's why I'm doing this show.
No problem.
Oh, what a great show. Chaz, you are a legend, bro. I am super, super happy to have you a part of the community, part of the co-host. You know your shit. I can't wait for Dynasty, dude. I can't wait for Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
you're a Dynasty
if you need help, with some of the league settings, let me know. I mean, obviously, the scoring wise, you'll know what to do for that, like how to make it, whether it's 4-punt pass.
Everything's up for vote. That's how I do all my leagues, especially the community leagues. Everything's up for vote. The scoring, the platform, the payouts, the roster, everything's up for vote because you know what? I'm a man of the people. I can adapt, right? Me and Storey are managing our team. You and Ray, it's gonna be an interesting dynamic. Tom and Nico. I don't know if you saw Tom. Tom's a new addition to the show. He was on Friday. He is a G and a genius. So we have a crew here, and then as well as the 9 community members in the show, OGs, guys that have been supporting me. And this is the startup. This is the start of a league that hopefully goes for 20, 30 years, whatever it is.
Hopefully.
And then we're gonna be joking about this shit 20 years from now. As well as, guys, if you do miss out on that Dynasty, if you're not a Fanatic member, we're gonna have a lot of redraft leagues coming up in August. So as many as you guys can handle, and whether that's I'm in every one of them or it's a co-host in one, we can do one that's just a straight fan league, and we can do league save for the payments on that one, and just 12 of you guys going against each other, like just a way to I want to fucking bring people together. And that's what this channel is, man. We want a safe space for people, like-minded people that like positivity and love, and talking about how much it costs, how much you get paid to suck a dude off, things like that. I'm just saying, like that's the theme of the show. But like, people that don't take themselves too seriously, like to have fun. And there's no rules in this motherfucking show, and there's no rules in life. So don't tell people, don't have anyone tell you that there are rules, because fuck that. We're not about that. We're not the fantasy footballers, guys. As much as people love the fantasy footballers, they're boring. They suck.
Well, they just follow the consensus to be liked. That's pretty much what their whole show is.
I don't want fans. I don't want fans on my show like the fantasy footballer show. Those guys are boring. Like their fans are probably boring.
It's probably just oh man. I'm trying to, it's probably brutal, the people that are watching those. But then again, those are also probably the guys that you're, that are going to be the rake, when you're drafting in those best ball leagues. So it's all
those guys have mailed. Those guys have mailed it in, Chaz. Now maybe I've leveled up, and again, I played a lot of fantasy leagues and doing the show every single fucking night. I don't learn a single goddamn thing from that show. Like, I don't hear any stats or any interesting perspectives or anything. Like, I watch Matt Harmon, and I will learn 10 things in 10 minutes that I didn't know. And that's saying a lot, because I read a lot, I watch a lot, I study film. Like, I am pretty engulfed in this entire idea of fantasy football and sports and all this kind of stuff. And, like, Matt Harmon is a real G. Also, underrated. Like he's kind of funny. Like he's a nerd. Like he has underrated personality. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a PC show for sure. But like I at least get entertained by him and his weird takes. And like Matt Harmon's an all-time legend. If I'm going to advocate for any show to watch other than this show, watch Matt Harmon. Watch Perception. Like that's how you're actually going to know ball. These other shows generally are just bad. They're just bad. It's just you're not getting anything from them. It's fluff. It's just sheep, man. You're just getting the same old takes left and right, or they're going against the grain just to go against the grain. That's actually even worse because I don't want to get my takes just for clickbait. Like you're never going to get that in this show ever. We don't.
Yeah,
like
I mean, just give your true authentic take. If it's with a consensus, if it's not with a consensus, if it's you know a hot take. I know we always have hot takes on this. It's just about, you know, just like you said, just staying authentic, not going off the rails and basing whatever you think of what others think. So.
All right, the Chaz. I missed you last week. Glad you have you on this week. You are a legend of the community. People fucking love you. I don't know why they love you, but they love you. I'm just kidding, man. You're a well-spoken individual. Yep. You know your fucking shit. Almost as much as me. You'll get there. I also have 15 years of you.
I hope to get there one day, Rob. I hope to.
You will.
But once again, thank you for having me on. Thank you for everyone watching. Donut as well. Support Rob. It's great. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later.
ProfessionalFanatics.com. He just logs off. Look at this guy. ProfessionalFanatics.com. Link in the description. Support your boy here. Get in the Discord. Sign up for the Patreon. Get in the Discord. Play in the fantasy leagues with us. A lot of different perks for joining. You want some merchandise. You want to be a guest in the show. Like, you name it, man. I'm a man of the people. I appreciate everyone for supporting me. GT for that awesome $20 super, as well as Jason, my dude Jason. We appreciate you guys. Love your life. Stay positive. Respect each other. We will be back on Friday night with a possible four-way of my football guys. Storey, Nick O, and new guy Tom. Gonna be a crazy show. We're talking NFL free agents Friday night. Tune in on that one, 10 p.m. Central. Love your life. Stay positive. Respect each other. One more time. We love you guys. Thank you guys for making this a great show. I appreciate you guys. Chaz says, thanks for having me. What a nice guy. He hops in the chat. What a dude. We'll talk to you on Friday. Be safe. Be safe. And don't take an offer under $100 million for you know what.
You just seem like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
Sorry, what?
Nothing.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah?
I got you stored in my iPhone.
All right. If you need me, call.